Hello and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Jeff Marchiafava.
Hey.
Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
And not Suriel Vasquez.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah, he's out sick today, which is very sad. But I'm still very excited to get back in the studio and kick off 2020 with the podcast. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm sorry we didn't have an episode last week, but hopefully you checked out the last episode that we did post, which is like the community coming in through Discord and volleying for their favorite games 2019. I thought those were really fun episodes.
I listened, and I was happy that JV and Elise weren't huge Outer Wilds fans.
But the community picked up, Jacob Geller in particular.
Yeah,
really excited
right.
Outer Wilds in a big way.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about Outer Wilds later in this episode.
Oh, interesting. So this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about stuff that we played over the break. We've all had a lot of time to digest some games.
That's right.
We've all done different things. I don't know what you guys have been playing because you're weird. Then we're getting to
You
our...
could have texted us and just asked us.
I know.
What are you playing?
Then we're getting to our 2020 predictions. We're going to try... This will be like a nice time capsule, so at the end of the year, we can look like complete jerks. So please...
How wrong we were.
We highly encourage everybody to clip out sections where we make bold predictions and then send it back to us at the end of the year so we look like just maniacs, just the dumbest people alive.
And can we just set as a ground rule that we have to do each one as pompous as possible? Of like, we're sure this is absolutely going to happen.
You have to start with, you idiots, don't you know that blank?
This is one of my 100% predictions. This will happen with all certainty.
And then we're going to get to some fun community feedback and then get a little of this for 2020. Let's set some tables first before we dine on all this stuff. First of all, thank you for being here, both viewers and listeners, and you in the studio.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to express appreciation. No.
Yeah, but you're doing like a Jeff Goldblum like hand reach out
You know what
thing.
that is? That
thank
hand
you
move?
for,
I realized at a certain point going back and watching Jon Stewart, like, oh, that's exactly where I got that from. Because I watched so much Daily Show, and every time he's trying to make a point and he's stretching, he does like this itsy bitsy spider thing with his hand that I totally picked up.
That's funny.
But I wanted to say that on the set, we have a thank you card from Hennepin Healthcare because we raised money along with Bauhaus Brew Labs for sweet toys for sick kids. We raised money to send to the hospitals over the holidays, to buy some fun toys and games, stuff like that. And they sent us a lovely card, and I posted on Instagram, which you could check out anyway. The Instagram account's MinnMax Show, so please check that out. But thanks to those folks, and thanks to everybody that donated along the way. We look forward to doing more charity stuff again this year. Also, a lot of questions about the deepest dive. Over the break, we had a poll go up for Patreon supporters. Actually, I think I made it public just to see like what does everybody want from MinnMax in 2020. I was amazed. Like the deepest dives, which are thorough game club discussions where we take a game, break it into sections, play along with the community, people send in feedback, and we just basically ring a game for all it's worth, have very in-depth discussions and conversations.
Smart talks.
Because I'm sick of surface level discussions of like, oh, yeah, that old game, I think that was good. Moving on. Like, no, let's get into systems, let's get into plot, let's get into specific moments, lines, stuff like that.
Marinating those juices.
So that's what the deepest dive is all about. I believe we are ready to announce our next official deepest dive, and we're going back in time.
Literally.
In more ways than one, ladies and gentlemen. The next deepest dive will be Chrono Trigger!
I was going to sell Telltale's Back to the Future. But
Whoa, Doc! Remember how good that Marty voice was? It was amazing. So Chrono Trigger. We're breaking Chrono Trigger up into 3 chunks. It's available. The DS version is pretty sweet. You can go old school Super Nintendo. There's the version on Steam, which is just $15.
Yeah.
And I know that it was just railed against at launch. They have patched it to a place where it's not too bad. You will not be insulted. I think the fonts are still a little bit off compared to the Super Nintendo version, but I think it's a pretty good option at this point.
I think also worth mentioning, I believe on PS3 and Vita, you can play that PlayStation 1 bundle that came out that had, I think it was Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger together.
Yeah.
So you can play it like the PlayStation 1 game. You can buy it from the store for your PlayStation 3 or your Vita.
That version does have insanely long load times going into battles.
But it does have the animated cutscenes. That's
very cool.
Those are on DS as well.
Absolutely. So timing. The first episode of The Deepest Dive for Chrono Trigger will be airing on January 22nd. So technically we'll be recording it on the 21st, and so we'll need all your feedback before the 21st. But for that first episode, we're going to play up until you go to the end of time for the first time, which is after...
We're going to play up until the end of time.
Yes.
That sounds long.
It shouldn't be too long. So we're playing through the beginning, obviously, and then basically it's when the sci-fi future section, when you're done with that and you go to the end of time, which is a more dark kind of ethereal place with a save point, basically just don't leave the end of time. Yeah. That's where we're
when
stopping
you see
for the first
I think
episode.
there's a man with a trench coat you can talk to.
That's
when
right.
you see him, stop.
And that's a good lesson for advice,
Yes.
for
Just
life
in general.
overall. Yeah. If you see him in a trench coat, stop and run the other direction. Yeah, so that's it. Let us know if you have any questions about that, but we're looking forward to kicking things off and diving in deep. That is going to be separate from this podcast. If you're a new listener, that's going to be separate in the YouTube feed, and then you can get the audio version if you're a Patreon supporter as well. But hey, it should be fun.
Well, hey, Hanson, do you want to tell people what kind of feedback you want?
Specific points.
There you
The
go.
more specific, the better. Don't give me a laundry list of, I love this game. It's good for the following 14 reasons. Be like, hey, I think this line of dialogue from Robo is funny because of this, or I hate this weapon because of this,
The
or
man
this.
in the trench coat creeps me out for this reason.
That's right. Get as specific as possible. Favorite moments, least favorite moments, anything like that. We'll have a post on Patreon kind of breaking that down as well. But we're looking forward to kicking this whole thing off. Should be a grand adventure. Also, I want to point out MinnMax, which is every Monday we stream for $20 supporters, and it's like a fun Q&A. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Jeffum, sometimes Serial. Kyle, you should come by and do one of those at some point.
Mondays are always weird. But
There
yeah,
we
I'll
go.
come by at some point.
But anyways, and then on Tuesday mornings, we release the audio version for $5 supporters on Patreon, patreon.com/MinnMax2Ns. But we're changing it up a little bit this year, where the final episode of the month, we're going to do community call-ins. So if you're a $20 supporter on Patreon, we'll let you know the time. It'll be probably the Sunday before the final week of the month, including January here. We'll just call people up. And so if you want to be on a podcast with me or Jeff and whoever else is going to be
So
there.
that's for MinnFax.
This is for MinnFax. That's right. So check that out.
And the way you did it on the MinnMax show is you basically called up people on Discord, right? Which,
Yeah.
from the
Which
outside,
worked
from
well.
my perspective,
Yeah.
seemed to work really well.
It was great because
Yeah.
everybody, it seems like in Discord, has some decent equipment ready to go, since this entire point of Discord is to chat. And also you get access to the Discord if you support MinnMax at any tier on Patreon.
all
So
works
it's
out,
kind of
man.
it's a slow
Exciting.
gateway drug. You know how it goes? Okay, the big break. How's your guys' break?
It was good.
Did you stay around here? Go home?
Stayed around here.
Okay.
Stayed
Jeffem?
here too as
you
well.
Just camped
Yes.
out in your house?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your gaming time? Was it gaming heavy? Was it lighter than you experienced?
It was pretty good, all things considered. Once we got past kind of the Christmas festivities, I had more time.
Yeah. So you actually got to sink your teeth into some big old games?
Not big old games,
Oh.
a lot of smaller ones.
How
I
do you
jumped
guys-
around between.
Zooming out a little bit, how do you guys feel after we record the big game of the year discussions and all that? Like, isn't it a nice, liberating feeling to be like,
Yeah.
now I can just play whatever I want? Not that I don't want to play these other games, but just like, it's just this pressure that's just
absolutely.
gone.
Yeah, totally.
But then you slowly realize, oh, wait, I still have to play this. Oh, wait, I should probably keep going in Death Stranding. Like, there's so many lingering things that you forget about when you think that you're completely on the home
I
stretch.
do, but I always give myself that, like 2 weeks or whatever that we have where it's like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll start worrying about those. Those games will be there for me still,
Yeah.
in 2 weeks when we're back into a normal routine. I'm just going to play whatever I want to.
I mean,
and then it feels very much like a kid again of like, ooh, I get to play games and it can be whatever I want.
so stupid.
I know,
know.
it's dumb, but it is that weird window where I actually like pick at my backlog a little bit,
Yeah.
like without any concern that I might be wasting my time, which is dumb. I shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
I shouldn't
That's
feel
right.
like playing a 2018 game is a waste of time. That's so stupid.
Well, yeah, that's the grind, man. That's the burden we have to carry podcasting about games. Before we get to actually playing games, I turned on Awesome Games Done Quick, which has been going on. The Summer Games Done Quick, by the way, is done in St. Paul. So when that's in town, we hope to collaborate with them in some way. I haven't talked to them about this yet, but it'd be fun to have some speedrunners in the studio, something like that. Like, they're in St. Paul. We're in Minnesota. We should make something happen. But Awesome Games Done Quick, it was beautiful because I turned it on, and it was the very start of a speedrun of The Outer Worlds. Which we did as our last deepest dive. If you didn't check that out,
We all speed ran it.
Yep.
yeah. Well, I
Some
did,
of
and
us
then I went
did.
back. How long do you think that speed run is,
6 hours.
Jeffem?
32 minutes.
14 minutes.
Oh, man.
It's
Okay,
so
but they're like
good.
they're clipping through things and
No.
Oh, because-
that is
okay,
exactly what I was
okay.
expecting. It is 14 minutes, and there's not really any.
it's just taking a
clipping through
direct
things.
path to credits through
So the
weird
one tricky thing
conversations?
they do, by the way, I thought it'd be like, oh, so it's a pacifist run. It is not, because they kill one person, because if you have a pacifist run, it adds 20 seconds to your run through, apparently, of the game. It's very specific. So it's like one explosion that they set off just so they kill one person as they work their way through. But the big trick is they go to Edgewater, they go to the space station, which is surprising. Then in Byzantium, there's a guy behind the desk. I forget if you don't side with the board whether you interact with him much, but his name's Percival. And there's this one trick where you like pickpocket Percival, and then you run over to a door, and there's some weird glitch where if he's by the door, he will reflexively open the door, and then if you go there, you can just skip like all the endgame quests. So if you just beeline it right to Byzantium and then pickpocket this dude, it's like, all right, then basically here's the credits and dumb ending, the end.
Okay.
It was so much fun to watch. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all, but very fun. Also, like the only thing he levels up is his Intimidate, because that's all you really need to blast through that game. But
it kind of blows my mind that that game's, 4 months old now?
Yeah.
And they've already gotten it down to 14 minutes. Like,
well, that's the amazing
crazy.
thing about the speedrunning community. Yeah, is just like, by the way, Chris Studio, who came in the studio back at Game Informer to show off Bloodborne and stuff.
Yeah.
He was there on the couch explaining it, and he was talking about like, oh, it's just the speedrunning community in Discord. And just like when they come across that eureka moment of like, wait, Percival will open this door for everybody. Like that is just that must be
Changes
so
everything.
satisfying to be part of that community as these epiphanies are coming through. But as for playing stuff, let's see. Kyle, what did you dive into the most?
How do you want to do
here?
that? Because I have a literal list. You want me to just kind of...
Start with the most interesting.
Okay. I think, well, let's see. Most interesting, you say. I think the weirdest one was Resident Evil 6.
Oh, yeah.
Which is on sale on Switch, and I downloaded the demo first to see how it ran. And it was fine. It seemed good.
Sure.
And I grabbed that, and it's like this game that I played it a lot in preview at Game Informer. I played like a huge chunk of the game, and then it came out, and multiple times I have tried to start it.
Of course.
Right? Like I played it on 360 when it came out and didn't get very far. When it came out on Xbox One at one point, it was on sale, so I bought it, and I started it then. I didn't get very far. And it's always been this game that like I've been somewhat defensive about, because it's kind of considered like the worst Resident Evil, I think, right?
I mean, that's an interesting point.
Maybe
you can
the
say like the
worst
Game Boy game or something.
The worst
right? Like,
mainline like numbered Resident Evil. I think
Yeah.
6 is generally people are
unless
really
you
down on.
include 0, there's some people that would argue.
Yeah,
Anyways, yes, I hear you.
Yeah, and so like, but my reaction to that has always been like, I played probably like 6 hours of it. It's a fun action romp. It's not like a great Resident Evil game, but it's a good third-person action game.
Yeah.
And after playing it a ton on Switch, I have definitely fallen into the camp of thinking it's not a great Resident Evil game and not liking it. There's like a point where like you're fighting little Roombas on the ground that are like electrifying you. I started keeping a tally of how many helicopters crashed over the course of the game. I got up to 4 after beating Chris's campaign, and it's just like, I get it now. I get why people are kind of down on the game. So
Because I remember with the previews, they led with the Leon stuff, which
yeah,
was promising.
like tweeting about it and stuff, people are saying like the Leon campaign's the best. And then I played through Chris's campaign, which might be one of the weaker ones. But it's like it's interesting to go back to the game. I want to finish it. I want to keep playing because this is weird. I've played pretty much every other Resident Evil game except for 6. So that's like,
so you just played one of the campaigns.
yes, and I started Leon's campaign and probably
Okay.
like 2 hours into that.
And how
one.
many campaigns are there?
There's 3. Yeah, and each one's like 5-6 hours, maybe,
okay.
something like that.
So it's Leon, Chris, and Hull?
and
Hunk?
the girl that you save in Resident Evil 2.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't remember her name, but you play as her and then Wesker's son, Jake,
Right,
who's
right.
voiced by Troy Baker, I think.
So I saw you tweet something about a Pokeball at the end of Resident
At the
Evil
end
6.
of Chris's campaign, you get into this thing that looks like a Pokeball to like escape because you're in like an underwater lab. Sorry to offer some spoilers for Resident Evil 6, but I mean, come on, it's one campaign in Resident Evil 6. But yeah, you get in this thing that looks like a giant Pokeball and float to the surface. And I tweeted like a joke. It's like, I didn't think I would escape in a Pokeball. And someone was like, that's a Saiyan ship from Dragon Ball.
Oh, of
and
course.
It totally looks way more like that.
You idiot.
So yeah, so that was maybe the most random one. Was Resident Evil
Irredeemable
6.
in your mind. Like there's no reason anybody should play it outside if you're
mean,
like Tim Curry and obsessed with
Man,
Resident Evil lore.
It is tough when literally Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5 are right next to it. Like
Right.
if you're looking, I want to play Resident Evil on Switch, like
Yeah.
play 4 or 5, you know? Or
Are you
even
a big 5
Revelations.
defender?
I like 5, yeah. I haven't played in a while, but
Sure.
But I like it more than 6. In my memory, I like it more than 6.
Yeah.
But it's a solid action game. So I wouldn't say irredeemable, but like it's really weak compared to the rest of Resident Evil. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeff, what have you been playing, man?
at the beginning of kind of like our winter break, even though it feels weird to say that since we don't have actual jobs like we used to.
I just sit in my basement. Yeah.
Yeah. But I got a text from Jeff Cork.
Oh.
Which was weird that it wasn't even on Slack or anything. He went straight to text.
Yeah.
And and I could only see, like the first half of the sentence, and it said, "Do me a favor, something, something, something." I was like, oh, like what would Cork be texting me about that he actually needs? And his message said, "Do me a favor and start a new game in No Man's Sky. I think it might be my desert island pick. It is absolutely the greatest podcast of all time. Also,
game.
Love you, miss you."
Oh, that's very sweet.
But as soon as I read that, I was
part.
like, oh, like that is the perfect game for like this little window where I can do anything I want.
By a little window, you mean your last 4 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, especially the last 2 weeks of like, and also there was this weird kind of pessimistic thing of like, it sounds perfect to end 2019, which wasn't the greatest year, by just like blasting off and going to some random planet that no one else lives on and starting my own little colony and like basically like going crazy and going off and living in the woods.
And you were role playing it like,
yes.
Okay, forgetting Earth exists?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But it was a super fun experience, and I did start a new campaign, and like, all the stuff that they added to it, they don't get enough credit for. They were really saying, oh, they've listened to the community and they've added back all these things, and it's a different experience. And it really does feel like the core is still there, and it may still be disappointing if you were expecting, this grandiose like action adventure kind of thing or whatever. But as that kind of crafting exploration game, like, it is so much more satisfying now, and they added so many different progression trees and all these kind of things, and they really fleshed out the actual like building mechanics. Like, I think in the launch game you could kind of just grenade your way into the ground and you could kind of mine ore, which would terraform the world. But now they've added actual terraforming tools where you can also build stuff up any way that you want to, and like in different shapes and stuff, and build your own bases and all kinds of things. And so I put another like 30 hours into it and was super enjoying it. Yeah.
If that came out as a 2019 game, would it have been your game of the year?
Oh,
I mean, is it that level of quality at this point?
Yeah, it's hard to go back and kind of remember what my expectations were. Like, I was a defender of it, and I still really enjoyed it when it first came out, but I can totally understand, why it doesn't live up to it. There's still things about it where I wish that there was more interaction with the creatures. Like, that was my biggest letdown.
Well, now you can ride them or whatever, right? You can finally ride your dinosaur like you've always dreamed
and
of.
milk them, I think, right?
I think you can, yes, because you can also like plant crops now and stuff like that. There's a whole farming simulation part which I didn't even get to, but it still feels like you have these guns that you can get. Yeah, there is combat to it, which is competent, but there's just not a lot to do with it, and that's kind of like the biggest letdown for me still. But yeah, I mean, it would be on my top 10 for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Maybe it should have, had I played it, a couple of weeks earlier or whatever when I was making that list. But it was a good suggestion by Jeff Cork, and I'm glad I went back to it.
Also, I was tickled pink that Jeff Cork at some point messaged me saying that he finally checked out What the Golf. And he's like, this is exactly what I've been hoping
like
for
a Jeff
from a game.
Cork game.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Just the music alone. Yeah, it's exactly Jeff Cork's cup of tea. When I could play anything under the sun, I was liberated from the shackles of 2019. I realized like it's a weird thing, but I started like gravitating towards like DLC. And so I went back to Jurassic World Evolution because they released DLC called Return to Jurassic Park. And all I knew was like, okay, it's like going back to the old assets from like the original film, which is very exciting because that was even back when like we did preview coverage of the game back at Game Informer. They were super cagey about like, I don't know if we'll have the old visitor center. And clearly they were saving everything for this big canonical Return to Jurassic Park.
Is it paid? Is that paid DLC? Or?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so went back, checked it out, and it's like, they have Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm, And then they have Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler in there too. And as I started playing it, I was like, those voices, that's a very good Laura Dern. That's a confusingly good Laura Dern. Looked it up. All the original actors were back. Like, really? I did not even recognize Sam Neill because he has such a weird voice in Jurassic Park, even where it's like he does a pretty good American accent, but every once in a
He's
while,
Australian, right?
New Zealand, I
Okay.
believe.
That sounds right.
But every once in a while, like you can start to hear it waver, and so now hearing him reprise Alan Grant for, I guess, the third time, it is so weird to hear him and just trying to figure out, like, okay, this is the new voice of Alan Grant. It's pretty close, but I can still.
It's an older Alan Grant, kind of, right?
Yeah, and maybe it is just that aspect of like now that I know that he's not an American, I can hear it more and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because like all those characters return. I wonder if it's part of some deal with them returning for the third Jurassic World film as well. Where they're like, okay, we'll give you this much money. Go ahead and do this game. You're on the Universal lot anyway, everybody. But it's so weird that like I know that Steven Spielberg cast Jeff Goldblum because with that film he wanted like a very natural delivery, and you can't get more of a natural delivery, maybe just a fault, than Jeff Goldblum.
Sure.
But then even Sam Neill, like all these characters are hemming and hawing their way through all this dialogue in Return to Jurassic Park in such a weird way where it's like, well, of course, Jurassic Park dialogue, you know, it's a lot of, well, you could say that. You know, it's just like so strangely paced. And then the most bizarre part about the whole experience is that they have a character from, if you're a huge Jurassic World Evolution fan, surely you remember Cabot Finch, who's an original character from that game. And so they have like the very young version of him interacting with these characters, but he just sounds like a video game cartoon voice.
Okay.
And so imagine like just the brilliance of Laura Dern interacting with SpongeBob, you know, like it's just the most jarring thing. And so like the way that they try and make this work is that, and I'm very into this angle, but you'd never guess, they try and convince everybody we can salvage Jurassic Park. And so
even those Alan Grant?
yes. And they make an interesting case where like I love this detail where it's like it's Ellie who really wants to go back. Where she's like, look, Hammond, he's going to try and revive this thing on his own. Like, we need to steer this ship the best way that we can, so we need to be as close as possible. Plus, if we care about dinosaurs, the most important place in the history of the planet is that island right now. Like, how can we not go? And it's such a weird deal because Ellie was the most adamant. Sorry, stop me if I'm going on too long. But Ellie was the most adamant, obviously, about like, you never had control, you idiot, you know? Where then in this, she's like, I think we can gain control of this. Like, she fully flips and like turns to the dark side. It's basically like, you know, the end of Last Crusade. Like, I can reach it, Indy, I can reach it. Like, she thinks that she can like control Jurassic Park. But it's very silly and just like shatters the lore because then eventually you move to Site B, like the Lost World location. Mm-hmm. And like there's a moment where
they got Vince Vaughn?
That'd be amazing. But there's a moment where Ian Malcolm's like, did you guys know that this exists? And they're like, no, not at all. It's like, well, he can't know that it exists because in Lost World, it's like a big surprise to him when John Hammond reveals that they had a whole Site
But
B.
wait. But Malcolm was asking Alan, right?
Right.
But
Ian was also learning about it because then you go to the island and also build up Isla Sorna.
Okay.
And so
in the game, it's a surprise to Malcolm?
Yes, but I'm saying it doesn't make sense
No,
that
that
he would
doesn't
then
make
know
sense, yeah.
about it for then Lost World. So like the idea of it being canon is
So
window.
just
it fits
insane.
in between the first and the second movies, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
But the weird thing
weird.
too is that like the way they write the characters, basically it's like they just stopped the movie halfway through and then that's where the characters are. Where there's a lot of stuff with like they all still hate Ian Malcolm. It's like, oh, this rock star over here and stuff. It's like, what the hell, man? Like
You guys went through something.
yeah, you'd think you'd be a little more bonded, you know, or like she calls Ellie.
Alan Grant still hates kids.
Yeah, basically. Like Ellie calls Ian Malcolm like Dr. Malcolm. He's like, Ian, please. She's like, I'll stick with Dr. Malcolm. It's like, why this attitude at this point, everybody? So
that is
it's very
bizarre.
silly, but it's fun to hear those characters
Yeah.
in a video game, you know? Yeah. Anyways.
That blows my mind that Laura Dern's in there. I mean, she's
I
like
know.
a big deal now.
Yeah.
I mean, not that she
Now.
never was, but I feel like in the last couple of years, like she's
Yeah.
really blown up. In a
To
big
me,
way.
she's royalty. Yeah. What else have you guys been playing?
Deltarune, I played through finally.
Oh,
which is
weird.
very
The first
random.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's very standalone to me. Like it didn't
really?
feel like one that like I'm not like I enjoyed it, but I'm not like I can't wait for the next part. It's like I don't know. It was good. I beat Fallen
Hang
Order.
on, real quick. That's the. Surreal's having a panic attack when you glossify Deltarune so much.
Oh,
so
sure,
that's
sure.
like the spiritual
what is it?
successor, kind of sequel to Undertale,
Yeah,
where
it's
it's the first episode.
It's very confusing because I think Toby Fox has said it's not a sequel,
right.
right? But like there are characters from Undertale prominently featured in the game.
Yeah.
Often. So and it looks exactly like Undertale. and sounds like Undertale and plays like Undertale, but it's a new story. It's a weird thing, but I appreciate it for that reason. Like,
was it enjoyable?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm not like the Undertale super fan. Most people are. I like that game. I think it's cool.
I'm with you.
The art style, like I don't love it. You know what I mean? I think it holds the game back in some ways, even though that like many would argue that that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
But worth playing. Great dialogue. The thing that I love about Undertale and Deltarune is that it kind of plays with your expectations of what a video game should do. Like it presents a puzzle to you and like plays with what you expect it means to solve a puzzle in a game. And like it starts with you creating a character, and then it just like throws it out the window. It's like, no, you're just going to be this person. Like you can't decide who you are this way. Like you are this character, which is like fun. I like that kind of stuff.
And it's still free, right?
Yeah, it's just free. I played it on Switch.
Fun.
So
you can just download it for free from the eShop?
Yeah. And I think
that's
it's
crazy.
I think it's like it probably took me about 2-3 hours total to play through it. And it's it feels like a standalone short Undertale almost. You know? So if you liked Undertale at all, you should definitely check it out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, after No Man's Sky for like 30 hours, I jumped into Game Pass and like downloaded a bunch of other smaller games that I had been meaning to get to. Some of them I already had downloaded and they were just sitting on my Xbox waiting to play. But I can say that I have already ruined my top 10 list because one of the games that I went to was Untitled Goose Game because that came out on Game Pass at the very end of December. And it totally should have been on my list. I played through and I did every challenge except for like the timed ones because I don't want to try and time run Untitled Goose Game. But just super charming. Just the idea of running around as a goose, just causing trouble, and then figuring out, they give you the lists of objectives, but then other ones you can't see, and you're just trying. You're taking basically the tools of goose mischief that you have, and
we all know what you're talking
figuring out how you can apply them to other places as you're kind of going around this town, which is really smartly designed. How you're kind of getting to one place to the other, and then unlocking kind of Metroid exploration, where you're unlocking these different shortcuts.
It's good, right?
But it was just super satisfying, and the honk button should have been one of our favorite things. I think a community member may have mentioned that as a thing,
but really is up there.
It is just.
Were you as struck by the ending as I was? Like, because that was the thing that really really. Oh, okay.
And you kept on bringing up like the end. Oh, like there's a reason why you're doing all
this.
I
looked it up expecting some insane twist where you're trying to do a human or something, and I was like, oh yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, I probably built it up too much. Like
you did.
At this point, because it's not a crazy twist or anything. It's just I like the way it wrapped everything together, and like even sort of that world design, it becomes very circular because of the ending, and I like that about it too. You know, so
there was another. I guess we're holding back spoilers for Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, we should.
But there is one part where you think something that you're going to do is easy, and then you find out as you're doing it that it's much more difficult than you thought it was going to be. But it was another funny moment of like, oh no, I have to do this instead.
Yeah. And I'm glad you played it.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that it was the kind of game that would be up my alley and that I would enjoy, but it was one of the ones that I just didn't get to. But now that I did, I can say, I screwed up my top 10 list.
I think we all have regrets. Like the more I think about it, it's like it is nuts that we did not talk about Ashtray Maze as moment of the year. One of the moments of the year. Going through Control, that just blew my mind. That was so awesome.
That soundtrack.
Oh, that soundtrack. Unbelievable.
Which, by the way, Kyle, Control was not one of the games that I got to and played more during break.
Oh, really?
So I still have your copy. I did play a little more of it, and I am confident because I think I put it towards the bottom of my top 10 list.
Yeah.
And that's one of the fudging ones where it's like, in a year, am I going to look back and be like, I didn't even play anymore. I played 2 hours of that. What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
But I do feel confident about it, but I am going to have to keep your copy.
Well, when the DLC comes out, then I will make my demands.
Okay. Also, in the big list of mistakes that I don't know what we were thinking is I know that Giant Bomb loved it and Dan Reichert loved it, and then we played it a little bit at during the Extra Life stream at Game Informer and had a good time with it. But I finally got around to playing Heave Ho. I think it's on Steam and Switch right now.
It was recently given away on Epic Games Store.
Oh, is that right?
Or maybe if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber. Sorry.
Yeah. So local co-op, kind of that competitive edge, but still co-op nonetheless. Physicsy, and you just have two arms, and you're trying to like swing each other across these environments.
Yeah.
If you're just into like a game you can play with friends, 1 to 4, and just laugh at silly physics and just like mess with each other, we played it for an hour and a half and just laughed the entire time. Like, it absolutely deserved a spot, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least in the running or
Should have been
discussion
discussed, yeah.
for, our big list of 210s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. Heave Ho, everybody.
Let's talk about Outer Wilds.
Oh.
Which is like interesting because you're talking about a game that you feel like got left off the list, you know, and that kind of thing. I finished Outer Wilds.
Oh, great.
And I do like that game. It's very cool. I don't really regret our discussion about it.
Oh no!
Finishing the
Kyle,
game.
the only solution is if you just say you regret it immediately.
No,
and that
I
you've
mean,
sinned.
I sort of the discussion that we had about it. Well, like, because the big thing for me was like, sort of like, you would go down these big long sort of puzzle hallways, I guess you could say, of like, okay, I'm gonna get to this planet. I'm gonna get underground. I gotta wait till this asteroid flies by the sun to melt the ice and get down there and then explore inside this asteroid. And like that stuff is really cool, but the finish line was still like underwhelming for me because like this example that I'm even talking about here with melting the ice on the asteroid, like you get into the middle, you read a little bit of text, and then you die.
Sure.
Because there's like not even really a great way to get out.
Right.
You know? But like the thing that struck me about seeing the ending without any spoilers or anything is you do get these really exciting moments of just exploring like deep into space and like finding these like weird environments and like crazy things. And that's where the game really shines, I feel like. The puzzles are still kind of obtuse to me and like not super rewarding, but like going into the middle of a planet and just like sort of slowly moving through and seeing what's there and what the sound design is like and like the kind of stuff you come across sort of naturally is very cool.
It seems like the thing, from listening to like Giant Bomb talk about it so much, it seems like they're all hooked on piecing the story together and like the way that kind of culminates in the end. That didn't do it as much for you.
I liked the ending a lot.
Yeah.
But like the sort of path there was like this sort of, you're sort of learning about this not really extinct, but like this alien race that kind of left behind all these clues. I didn't find it like super engaging or compelling. The thing that was exciting to me was exploring and seeing things. Like reading the sort of little bits and pieces about what they were trying to do and what they were trying to pull off was like less interesting to me. And then the ending, very cool ending, for sure.
So did we blow it?
I don't think so.
Okay, great.
I mean, not necessarily. I think that game's really good. I don't want anyone to ever think that I disliked that game.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have cracked my top 10.
Wow.
You know.
Did you check out Daniel Dwyer's No Clip documentary on the creation of it?
No, I haven't.
should.
Because I saw him. Someone was asking him on Twitter of like, are there spoilers in here? And he was like, well, not really. But
And
it's
he
probably,
makes a clean dividing line even
Does
in the
he?
video
Okay.
saying like, if you don't want any context for anything, tune out here.
Yeah. So I think now I would feel comfortable going to watch that. And it really is like one thing to really talk about with that game is like how much of a technical achievement it is.
Yeah,
like it
for
is
sure.
mind blowing. Like especially when you get deep into the game and like there's like planets pulling sand, like the gravitational pull is pulling sand off one planet and then that lowers the sand level on one planet so you can like explore. Like that kind of, and that's just all sort of happening like what feels like very naturally is like very impressive. And very
and
cool.
I love that the documentary focuses a bit on the tech as well. Like there's just small little things, and maybe this is very common in games and we're all just very naive, but they talk about like because of the way that world's built and it like just modeling on a sphere is so challenging because you can't just like pop up a certain spot. It's like, okay, I have to rotate the camera 360 just to work on this art asset. But then the crazy thing is they talk about like jumping because there's no center of the world or anything like that just becomes a mess. So technically what's happening every time you're jumping in that game is just the planet you're on is moving. Like the entire universe is just moving below you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That
That's
sounds
fun
like a
game
nightmare.
tricks.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you guys check it out. I know you played it a little
No,
bit.
yeah,
I think it's
know.
on Game Pass. You should
I did
yeah.
play a little bit of it
because it does
before.
the things that I don't really like about No Man's Sky, which is like the randomization element. Like I still get the things I like about No Man's Sky, which is like getting in a ship and taking off and flying to another planet, but like with more of a sort of human hand, like designing.
This
the
is all
planets.
crafted.
which I like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I installed a new graphics card.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I was like, okay, I just want to make sure it's actually installed here and it's actually working. And so I was like, okay, what do I have in my taskbar? Oh, Forza Horizon 4. I love that game. That'll be a good one to test it on. Booted it up, got in there, and then they give the introduction that, oh, head over here for the Eliminator. And I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot that Forza Horizon 4 added a battle royale.
Oh, that's
And I'm very into it. Like I saw that headline. I was like, oh, I got to remember to check that out. And I would have completely forgotten about it except for this graphics card. So went over to it. It's wild. And I think I really like it. So it's called the Eliminator. It's free as far as I can tell. They just put it in the middle of the map. And so you go over there, load in, and it's 72 players. and it's like starts out with the entire Forza Horizon 4 map, which is huge. It's like 4 times the size of England. That's not true, but it's a huge landmass. And then, of course, battle royales, so the circle strengths, yada, yada, yada. But then the way that you're eliminating other players is you're just driving around, and if you go near somebody, you can hit like right stick basically to challenge them, and then it'll just say, okay, the finish line is over here, and it's like 1.5 miles away. And then it's just a simple, fast race to figure out who can get there. If you don't make it, that person's eliminated. And then the cool thing is that instead of having drops for guns and stuff, they have drops for new cars. So like scattered around the map, you just see like these drones with like a pink haze, and you go over there and it's like, hey, do you want to upgrade to this car? And so then it's just a very natural way. But also if you eliminate people, then you also automatically upgrade your car to a better one. And then when it gets down to, 8 for like the final circle of 8, then it's like it can't keep doing that because the circle's so small, you can't have races anymore. So then it's like, all right, down to 8 players, and finish line is over here, go. And then it's just like a finale, and you just have to race to the finish.
So could you get lucky there and just be right near the finish line, or does it figure out a way to keep everyone equal
because the
distance?
circle is so small, it'll be roughly. You could probably get a little lucky and get like a head start, but then it'll be like, okay, the finish line is going to be 3 miles out this direction outside the circle.
Yeah, because that'd be a bummer if like you would just win because it's like, oh well, the finish line popped right next to me.
Right,
Okay,
but it's smart because it's also like people still camp, which is weird to do in a racing game. But like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the middle of the circle and kind of sit here. But I think it kind of works against that because of like the head-to-head challenge thing. So if you're moving, drive past somebody, challenge them. Suddenly they've been challenged, and if they're at a standstill when that race starts, they're at a disadvantage. So it incentivizes you to keep moving, which is really unique in a battle royale. But then it just made me think of like, oh yeah, this is Microsoft's first battle royale, technically, right?
Well, I mean, they got behind PUBG in a big way.
Well, they
not
let PUBG go on the system, but in terms of like a Microsoft first-party design battle royale, it's got to be first.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is a weird place to do your first battle royale.
Sounds cool though.
That's interesting.
It is cool. Yeah, I really like it. And I still, any reminder to go back and play that game is welcome because the Forza Horizon games are so much fun. Yeah. So check out the Eliminator. Run, don't walk.
Apparently,
Race, don't camp.
That's right. Anything else you guys have?
You want to talk about a short hike?
Oh, I do. Yeah, you played it.
Yeah, which you recommended it to me a long time ago, and everything you said about it. It's not something I was like avoiding or didn't think I wouldn't like or anything based on everything you told me, but like it is really good. It's like this short game where you are like a bird on this island and you just have to make your way to the top.
Trying to get cell service.
And it's like you can get through it even if you're taking your time with like in under 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and you say like Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild, which are, how you used to describe it, which is like those are big games to compare to this little small indie game, but it's like it's totally accurate. Like,
it is that, just a bite-sized version of that.
Because you level up your climbing ability, you can glide around, and it's just really sweet and charming. And I played it with my kid, and like I ended up not touching the controller. I thought it would be kind of back and forth, but she was like 100%. She played the whole thing, and then immediately restarted it and wanted to play again. And it was really fun to just play with her, and like I really liked it a lot. I'd like to have it on like Switch in the future or something, just to like revisit every now and then.
Yeah. Did you I feel like I could have used a map. There's sometimes where it's like, where was that starting cabin again?
Because there's like, you don't have to like revisit a lot of locations.
Yeah.
But like there was like, we were trying to collect money and we had to buy something. I was like, where was that thing again? And then there's like a little island off to the yes. So I'm agreeing with you. It would have been nice to have a little bit of a map. It didn't have to be anything super detailed or anything. But yeah. But yeah, very, very cool. I liked that game a lot.
Oh, good. Oh, sweet. Keep going, man. Let's keep going through this stuff.
I played probably the first couple hours of My Friend Pedro.
Oh,
which was
weird.
another one.
First couple hours. That's a lot of My Friend Pedro.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I was being slow. It was like 2 or 3 levels. I don't know how far in I got, but that was a fun kind of side view take on Hotline Miami. Or
even like a little bit of Max Payne in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Where because of you have the slow motion ability, and kind of almost remind me a little like Tony Hawk too, because you're trying to combo all of these kills together in a weird way. But that was just a kind of fun, very gory, ridiculous take. There are sections where you just get on a skateboard and then you are skating through these areas, and it was fun.
Is that another Game Pass joint?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Like I said, I downloaded like half a dozen games from that, and that one was fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back and continue. It gets a little overwhelming if you play too much of it at one time. But
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Sweet. Hey, it's just a duel between you two.
Oh, is it? Okay. Let's see. What's another good one? I did play through Ape Out on Switch, which I really enjoyed. The music in that game so good. Like that's like I'm a drummer, and it's just like all drums and jazzy drums, and really. I expected to. I don't know why. Just from hearing you guys talk about it so much, I thought it would get a little more intricate or detailed, or like you would get more abilities. But it's like nope, just survive and hit that right trigger a lot, you know. And it's like it's really the weird thing I took away from it, which is like I never thought I would think this in 2019, but I was like, I kind of want to play this in stereoscopic 3D and see what that would look like, because like I don't like the thing that I think 3D films and stuff do okay is not coming in your face. Like that's less interesting to me. It's like looking deep down a tunnel.
Yeah,
I think is when 3D actually becomes kind of cool. Like I saw Star Wars in 3D recently, like which was like by accident. I just like bought those tickets, and there's like a scene near the end, no spoilers, where there's like electricity flying into the air.
No spoilers.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Is that a spoiler? I don't want to. I want to be careful about this, but like, I thought that scene actually looked cool in 3D because you were looking like at something going off into the horizon or off into the distance,
parallel to you.
And that's what Ape Out is.
Palpatine
like
to you.
Exactly. But Ape Out is like you looking down into something.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was asking around or Googling a little bit. Is like even on PC, is there a way to play it in stereo? And like. No. They haven't taken the time to do that.
The answer was just ew.
You're the only one that wants this in all caps.
Bad man.
But cool game. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of music, I don't know. I wasn't on the music podcast that you guys did, but did someone bring up Untitled Goose Game?
No.
As like
it's
another
the piano.
Yeah, but it's another one that's kind of a dynamic one, but very playful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's tough because like when I think of those best songs, like I think about like specifically songs, and Goose Game's music is very cool and good, but it's not something I would like listen to outside of the game, and like that's fine. Like it's perfect for Goose Game. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I also played a couple hours of Wargroove because I know everyone was losing their mind over that one.
Well. One
person was,
I thought, because for a while, that was Surreal's game of the year. Yeah. And I thought he was going to champion it harder towards the end, but still good. Advance Wars, even missing that.
He put all his chips in Disco Elysium. So.
Yeah, that was it seems good. It was a slow burn for me, especially because it starts you off very slow in terms of like teaching you very basic turn-based combat stuff, but then you get to the point where you're kind of capturing bases in a map and using that to generate new units and stuff like that, and it got a little more interesting. It was some variety that I hadn't really seen much in turn-based tactics games, because I do like those, but I haven't delved too much into Advanced Wars and stuff like that, and so it was interesting, but I bounced off that one kind of quicker.
What else did you love?
I beat Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, congratulations!
And it's like, and I really love that game. In a weird way, even though like it's showing up on a lot of top 10 lists, it was on our top. Was in our top 5, right? Wasn't it?
I think it might have been 6, somewhere around there. Yeah.
But like I feel like that game's like weirdly underrated.
I think I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Like I think people are just so critical of Star Wars that like they kind of nitpick it apart, but it's like, this is a really good third-person action game. You know? And it's like, we don't have to talk about it a ton because we did the spoiled on it, and that, like I think that's probably one of the reasons we didn't even talk about it a lot when we did our 210s.
I don't think we talked about it at all.
But like, just a really great game, good boss fights. Yeah. I did like the ending. I don't regret us not having it as one of our moments, but like the way that I think we said it's a cameo, right?
Yeah,
the way it's sort of presented to you and the way you sort of experience that moment, it is very cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, I went back and I watched just 30 minutes of the ending just to experience that, and totally, they do a good job of presenting
and
that.
It sucked. It did get spoiled for me.
Microsoft is running commercials that spoil
and that's how it was spoiled.
Oh my God.
It showed up on like in Twitter, and it was like, the ad played on its own.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Battlefront 2 ad, and then it wasn't. And I was like, come on. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't know why I did that.
And that, I especially like that because it does help. It walks that fine line in action game that action games don't always get, where they were coming up with a satisfying conclusion to something like that. Where you can't do something totally crazy where you're actually saving the galaxy. Like, every Halo game has always been very disappointing for me, where it's like, okay, it's time to save the universe, and in order to do it, you have to defeat these 6 kind of hard guys in this one room and then press a button, and that will save the galaxy. Whereas this was
It's like a personal conclusion to their goal, and like I do. That was something that my first thought, like watching the credits, was like that ended really well. You know, like open enough for what could be another part, but like a satisfying conclusion for sure.
Logan Williamson, by the way, just to jump to a community question early.
Yeah.
So Logan Williamson writes in and says, "Hey, can we talk about how annoying Zepho is to navigate in Fallen Order? Here I am living the MinnMax way, trying to better myself by finding all the secrets, but I keep getting twisted back and confused by the overwhelmingly huge map on Zepho. Does Zepho suck that bad?"
Zepho.
Which one was Zepho?
I think that was the one. That was like the second or third area where I think it's like you're going through a lot of
like
Jedi
villages?
temples and stuff. No, I don't. I think that's like where you're underground mostly and moving the balls around.
It looks dark based on pictures on Google.
Okay, maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, the navigation can be troubling for sure. They're right.
It seems like
I think there was one planet, especially where it is so huge that some of the paths are really drawn out, and it's like, oh my god! In order to get back here, I have to go to here and here and here and here, just to get to that place.
Something people have been asking for online, which I don't think would break the game in a radical way, because that's always the question. It's like, well, if they institute that, will that like just make it way too easy? Is like making the meditation points fast travel, and I think that would be fine. I don't think that would really break the game in any significant way.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? On Game Maker's Notebook, which has Ted Price from Insomniac interviewing developers, he recently interviewed Stig.
Oh, great!
Who's the director for that game, and it was nice. It's like the most open I think I've heard Stig talking about that, and just about working with Lucasfilm. And I'm sure that was an incredibly frustrating process. And like the most he ever opened the curtain there was just talking about like how the team had to learn to stop reacting to every piece of feedback from Lucasfilm with, "But why?"
Oh,
like, can you imagine like, "Hey, we really want to include this," and Lucas is like, "No, we can't do that." And imagine how frustrating that is for the team. Like, just give us a reason why, you maniacs. Like, oh no, we can't.
It's funny. We talked to them about that obviously during the cover trip, and I remember one of the things that Stig mentioned was just like, at a certain point, we're just like, Disney, you guys can just name everything. Like name all the weird equipment that we pick up, whatever.
I guess we'll go with Sear.
I mean, yeah, like it's like because that stuff ultimately kind of doesn't matter, and if it's like if they can just sort of handle that, and we don't have to go back and forth about what someone's name is, it's like it just makes the whole process easier.
Also, it was confusing in that interview. I knew that they started the team to work on some Melee new IP, and then they shifted. Because EA is like, oh, we can turn this into a Star Wars game. Because they pitched it to multiple publishers, EA and somebody else. And then when EA saw it, they're like, hey, if you go with us, we'll turn it into a Star Wars game. But the part that I didn't know that interview revealed, maybe you knew this, Kyle, because you're in the loop, you visited that studio for that, is that apparently the earliest version of this was a Star Wars game. Like Stig was brought on to make a Star Wars game. They started it, pitched it to EA. EA said no. Then they said, okay, I guess we'll make it a new IP then. And then EA 180'd.
Oh, okay.
Probably they said no because they wanted to make it like a single-player, story-based game, I'd imagine. And then maybe after they canceled Amy Hennig's game, then they're like, suddenly we want this now, so we'll take that back.
Yeah, I was under the impression that that whatever that sort of third-person action game was just original IP that they had.
It was, but
you're saying it was Star Wars, then original, then back to Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could totally be the case. I wasn't aware. Yeah.
I assume it is. Stig said it. He said it on the podcast.
Stig said it.
What else you guys got? Anything exciting?
I was excited about it, and I played the whole thing and I beat it, and it was a game that I hadn't really heard of. I had downloaded it probably it didn't come out last year, so it was older than that. I downloaded it, and as I was going through my list, I was like, what is this even? I can't remember why I downloaded this. No, it was a game called Moonlighter.
Okay, yeah. Is that the one where you run a store?
Moonlighter, yes.
Yeah.
And so basically it is, it's in the vein of Binding of Isaac, but even
like Inferno?
Yes.
Check out the Great Cody Hunt this week.
Yes. But no,
J for Gyreball.
Binding of Isaac was inspired by Zelda dungeons, right? But making them procedural, which Kyle loves, of course.
Love procedural.
This was clearly, they had the same idea, but wanted to make it just straight up like Zelda. And so it is, you are going through Zelda-like dungeons, that are procedurally generated each time you go in. But the stuff that you collect, you then take back to your store, which is kind of like a Stardew Valley type thing where you're running your own little shop in this village.
Fun.
And you're selling all of the items that you get. But it's very granular in that you're like actually putting the stuff out on your different counters and stuff, and then you're setting the prices, and people come in and you kind of judge from their reactions if you're selling stuff for enough or if you're underselling them or whatever.
You get to pick your own prices.
Yeah,
right?
and then you kind of, there's a whole upgrade loop where you're upgrading your town and you're upgrading your shop, and then any items that you craft, you actually keep from run to run. So the progression isn't as bad as a normal roguelike where it's like, okay, I died, now I have to start everything out, because you also have this medallion that lets you leave whenever you want. And so it's kind of this push your luck element of, okay, I have a bunch of stuff. Do I keep on going, or is it time to just get out before I die? And because you lose most of your stuff if you die. And so it scratch that itch of kind of Harvest Moon, even though you're not farming, but that kind of collection game, resource collection, and then crafting and kind of all that stuff, but then with actually fun combat, which in Stardew Valley you could go into caves and but the combat was never interesting. This is very much you have different weapons that have different abilities and kind of all of that Link to the Past style dungeon delving stuff.
It sounds too good to be true.
It looks good too. It's like because like pixel art, can be tough, but I think they really
very
nail
much
it.
in that style of Link to the Past, but more fluid kind of. And so
I played it a bit. It seemed interesting. I like the idea of managing the store. I thought was like a really interesting.
And it is an underrated game. And I was trying to look up stuff, and it seems it was originally a Kickstarter game, and it seems like there's some bad blood with Kickstarter people, because every time I would look up a question, there'd be people complaining like, oh yeah, they released this half finished and it's totally broken, all this stuff. But they've clearly patched a lot too, because a lot of the complaints that they were saying weren't in the game anymore. But then also I couldn't find updated information, like the wikis haven't been updated enough and stuff. And so there's still some confusion in some elements, but also, it's the type of game that you would ruin if you just went off of a pricing guide of what to use for all your different items and stuff.
Gotcha.
But
sure,
I was super impressed by it. And
Moonlighter, and it's on Switch, so there we go.
And it's also on Game Pass. It's another Game Pass game.
Yeah. Sweet. I love it. Did you play any tabletop games over the break, Jeff?
I did. We finally got to just one.
Oh, how'd that go?
Yes. Everyone liked it.
Good.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a crowd pleaser.
It is, yes.
I played it a lot with my family. I played it way too much over the break. It was constant. But it was fun because we also tried playing with like my 5 and 3-year-old nephews. And so the solution was like, okay, we'll just whisper the word to you and then you draw what the word is. And it's like, it still worked like that because you're still just trying. But at one point, the word was Mario. And I was trying to get my nephews to draw Mario, and they got like Mario pajamas that morning for Christmas. So I'm like, it's the character in your pajamas. And both of them at the same time go, Romeo! It's like, what? My sister's like, they call Mario Romeo.
Romeo
That's
and
so
Luigi.
sad.
Yeah, I was playing with my wife's family, and one of the words was ninja, and a lot of her siblings, they watch anime and stuff, and so the first thing that came to my mind was Naruto. But I was convinced that her younger brother, who's like 13, was going to put Naruto. So I was like, okay, I'll put Shinobi instead.
Oh, boy.
And then we turned over our things, and he put Shinobi too. I was like, and no one put Naruto. I was like, oh, come on.
You should just put
one
streamer.
And that's, that's like the beauty of the game, is that you skip the most obvious thing, and you pick something that's a little more obscure, but the people that you're playing with pick that too. And then you all laugh about it. Yeah.
One of my favorite tabletop games is Betrayal. And I somehow missed this, but they have a version, like the only licensed version of Betrayal, and it's called Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. So it's like in the D&D universe. Have you played that one?
No.
Okay, but it was just very fun, like loving Betrayal and then also playing and getting a little bit into D&D last year, like playing something where it's like, oh, okay, here's like my... I want to call it power pole. I'm going to completely blow it. The 10-foot pole, just like having like these staples of like, oh, I remember this from our little campaign. And now it's suddenly in a game of Betrayal, which I also love. So it's very fun. And like, instead of having the basement and the main floor and the attic that you're exploring before one person turns on the other person, it's like you can go outside, which is cool, and like walk around the town and stuff. So it's very cool.
Cool.
Right. Cool. Other games we should not miss?
Did you play Wattam at all?
Oh yeah. I started it. This is from the creator of Katamari.
Kaita Takahashi.
That's right.
I believe? Yeah.
It's been in development for 5 years from Phenomena. Started it, did not get that far. Maybe 30 minutes or so. He's like walking around a platform and it's farting and having your hat explode. It is like
very
Teletubbies from hell.
It's very cute. It's very silly. It's very strange. I would definitely put it above Nobi Nobi Boy because there is actual stuff to do and there's like it's basically a puzzle game ultimately.
Yeah.
But it kind of it's almost it was almost like too weird or something. I was like, I don't know if I like because it's borderline random. You know what I mean? Of like how you're solving things and like characters just show up. Like I took a screenshot of just a big toilet shows up to your map and it just in big bold fonts says like welcome toilet and then you have to like make poops to like go in the toilet. It's very strange and it like
real mature.
Yeah, it made me kind of think it's like, you know, I like this. I'm having a decent time with it. It's so weird and fun and like the music's so great.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think maybe I'm just like more of a Katamari fan than I am a Takahashi fan because like this,
that's okay.
And that's okay. But I think I'm gonna keep going with it. But it's weird. It's a weird one for sure.
I'm fascinated by Phenomena as a studio. Like, how are they still rolling? We're all rooting for them, but like the fact that Wattam took forever to come out, they had like a little VR game that seemed like didn't make much of a splash.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah, or they ported a game to VR. I forget, but like Robin Haneke, we interviewed her on the Game Informer show. Like, she's the light. She's a hoot. She's a really important person in the industry.
Yeah.
But then I just feel like, what is their hit? Like, how is this still running?
And Takahashi's such a strange designer. Like, he was not interested in making games and somehow fell into it and like made Katamari. And then I remember I loved Katamari so much. I was like looking for interviews with him at the time when like We Love Katamari came out, and he was kind of like, it's like, I don't know if this is really for me. I think I want to go make playground equipment. I'm like, what?
By that I mean a toilet.
I guess, yeah. It's just such a strange, fascinating. I mean, it's cool to see people like. Obviously, you need like to come up with something like Katamari and execute it. Like, you need to be someone who like doesn't like adore video games and like studies them.
Right.
Like, which is like, I know Nintendo even tries to hire people like that. It's like, let's bring in people with new ideas who aren't obsessed with the history of this medium and can do something new. And he's definitely that kind of designer. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, why are you making video games? Like, do you like this? I don't know.
Right.
It's a weird thing.
Weird thing.
Wattam. That's basically the best way to describe that game. It's a weird thing. Yeah. I finished Afterparty.
Oh God, that's one I've been meaning to go back to.
Yeah, it's okay. It's funny. It's a little self-serious and like it almost feels preachy at times about its ideas and stuff. Like,
This sounds great.
yeah, no, I don't like. I still recommend it because the writing is good and funny, but at the end, like there's a lot of time of just like Satan monologuing about like what humanity is and stuff, and it's like without any jokes. And I didn't love it, but
in that vein, a game that I went back to and was really blown away by it. I'm upset that it didn't get talked about more. Is Knights and Bikes. Did you
I didn't
play
know.
that?
I want to.
Okay, it's from the creative director. He was at Media Molecule for a long time. He's the creative director for Tearaway. Like, it just has style up the A. But it's great and is a game that I was really into out of the gate and then realized, like, it needs to be a co-op game. Like, I think it's designed to be a co-op game.
Because if you play alone, you
without
switch between the two girls,
You
right?
can, but it seems like so much fun of the interactions and stuff is like having a buddy there.
Yeah.
And especially like a co-op story-based game. I think you would really love it, Kyle.
Yeah, I should play with my kid.
You should 100% play with your kid. It seems tailor-made for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Knights and Bikes was that one.
I had two more quick ones.
Let's go.
Do you have
Let's
any more,
go.
Jeff?
Nope.
No? Okay, I started Axiom Verge, which is this is the third time I've bought it now.
Congratulations.
Started on PS3, didn't get very far. Bought it on Vita, but the Vita forced you to use the touchpad as buttons, so that was out the window. It was on sale on Switch. I like it so far. It's a Metroid game. It's one of those that like I've been meaning to get around to forever.
Yeah, because the sequel's coming out. So
yeah, right. And then finally, I jumped back in pretty hard on my Master Mode playthrough of Breath of the Wild.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm far enough away from that game now where I don't remember a ton of it.
Perfect, yeah.
So it's like going into the sort of the dungeons. It's been so long now I don't even remember what they're called, but like
the camel.
The camel. Not the big dungeons, but the smaller ones.
Right.
Like
shrines.
The shrines. Like it's not. I get about 40% through them before I'm like, okay, I think I kind of vaguely remember this, which is like fun. And I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty.
Does that up the puzzle difficulty?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't touch the puzzles at all. It makes the enemy sort of encounters damn near impossible. Like even just the smallest group of moblins will kick your ass, and which is it's kind of interesting. I think it'll like level out as I get more hearts and stuff like that. But right now, the way I'm kind of playing it, which is like interesting because it's not how I played it originally, is I'm being super cautious and avoiding enemies, which is like it's just an interesting new way to approach it where I'm like sort of weaving around camps and trying not to engage if I can help it and stuff like that. So, but I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm probably gonna get back into it in a big way until maybe Kakarot comes out. You know, like that's probably the first big game I'm looking forward to in 2020. So
hey. Perfect transition to 2020 here, Kyle.
There we go.
Let's get to some big predictions from 2020. Now, here's a couple qualifiers. This can be tricky. Obviously, not being a Game Informer anymore, I feel a little out of the loop as far as inside scoop.
Yeah.
Like, I know of 2 games that haven't been announced yet. You know, is roughly where my mind's
What
at.
are they?
So, okay, I'll tell you. So, not leaning into that. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I think this is going to happen. Wink, wink, because I know it's going to happen, right?
No,
So I'm trying to dodge that. When I'm not dodging that, I will let you know and stuff. But I figure it'd be fun to start with the most obvious. I got a big cup of Joe there.
Sorry.
So start with the most obvious.
Yeah.
And then get to the more specific that we still think like there's a chance. There's a chance this will happen in 2020.
Oh, there's supposed to be a chance?
Well, maybe not.
On these?
Hey, you'll come across as a genius once people make the clip and send it to you at the end of the year.
That's right, because we're all going to be very adamant that these things are happening.
That's right. So my number one.
Okay, so
Not necessarily numbered.
okay, yeah, but this is unlikely or we're starting with
Most
likely.
likely.
Most likely.
likely.
Here's a
Okay.
good, safe prediction for 2020. Let's see. The Final Fantasy VII Remake will cause outrage.
Oh. Yes.
Something with the way that game is delivered. And
Sure.
I know there are like leaks out there based on the demo. I have not looked into that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I looked into it.
I don't want to know anything.
It
I don't wanna
changes.
know-
It changes some story.
I don't want it. I didn't even want to know that, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Spoiler.
So there will be an outrage of some sort.
Yeah.
Good old fashioned internet bonfire happening.
What would be your guess of what kind of thing would cause outrage?
I think pre-order bonuses. I guess that already be out
I think
there,
it's
right?
going to be just changes. People are not
I
going to be
think
unhappy with
the
the
broad
story.
thing is going to be
things.
changes,
Yeah.
but then I could even see them having some DLC that's going to cost a lot that people are going to be like, that's BS. Why wasn't that in the game? Something like that.
They'll do DLC that changes the story back to what it originally was, whatever dumb changes they make.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like Jesse is too flirty. Like even in the demo, it's like,
Yeah,
what's
I
up
mean,
with Jesse?
it's going to be characterization because
Yeah.
like you could fill so much of that in yourself when you were playing the PlayStation version that now
Right.
they have to be sort of more straightforward about it, you know?
Right.
And like that's going to upset people, I think, you know?
Red 13 is just a 45-year-old guy now.
They're
Finally.
just constantly farting.
Oh, my butt. My butt straight fire.
Do you think that game will meet or exceed sales expectations?
Exceed. Well, I don't know
think
what
it'll-
they are.
I think it'll exceed.
I think it'll be a gangbuster this year
Yes,
for sure.
I think it's going to be huge.
I mean, I guess that's the
well,
safest,
well,
dumbest
I think-
prediction.
Well, I think my prediction, the reason I asked that was something that I actually was thinking about, but ended up not writing down on my list, was
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy VII will exceed expectations because I think it will be big, but I think it will be bigger than Square even estimates.
I don't know what the estimation is.
I mean, that's
though.
fair.
They've
But
got to
I
be
mean,
putting a lot of
yeah,
pressure on that.
That's
Yeah.
Square. They were the ones who thought that Rise of the Tomb Raider was, or one of the Tomb Raiders was going to
Yeah.
sell like a bajillion copies.
first
And they were
one.
like, this is the best-selling game we've ever had in this series. And they were like, oh no,
I think
below
It'll
expectations.
get some kind of. There'll be a press release announcing some sort of record that Final Fantasy VII has set, fastest
Yes.
sales of any Final Fantasy game or something
sure.
like that. Yeah, which you're right. Like it's kind of an ambiguous prediction because it's like, well, what does that mean? Was that what they expected?
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
I have Suriel's as well. His
Yeah.
safest prediction is Breath of the Wild 2 is out this year.
I had that on my list.
Do you really think?
I think
No
the way
way.
that I wrote it down is sooner than expected, which means maybe
Say
like
no, that's heavy.
maybe like October-ish, like
No.
late October, early November.
Okay. There's no way, though. Think about how intense that game is
Look, I'm
versus.
very confident. Sergil and I are 100%. This
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 2, we will be playing it this year.
I think it's going to be spring 2021.
Yeah.
They're going to release it in, March again. I think
Yeah,
they'll
that-
probably try
okay.
and mirror that. I think it's going to be Super Mario Odyssey 2 this fall.
that I think is absolutely bonkers
Why?
because the only Mario game that got a sequel was Galaxy.
Correct.
So you think there's going to be an Odyssey 2? No, the next
Why is that so outrageous?
because
Yeah,
there
totally.
has only been one instance of that happening. There was like never. I mean, I guess you could say the NES games and stuff, but like ever since they've been doing 3D Mario's, there's no Mario 64 2. There's no Mario
Well, still
Sunshine
even like 3D
2.
Land to 3D World, like they want to reuse the engine, reuse some of the style. I think especially the structure of Odyssey is tailor made.
I think
feel
they
like.
save Mario. I think Mario waits around for some sort of game changing idea. I don't think we're going to see. I don't think. Not only will we not see Odyssey 2 this year, I don't think we're going to see an Odyssey 2. Period. I think the next Mario will have a different title and be something significant.
You're a real piece of work here, Hilliard.
I don't.
Okay, what about this? What about
it
this?
It blows my mind that you're so confident about this. There's no precedent
Because
except for Galaxy.
I think Nintendo's going to want to swing big to try and compete with the next gen releases this fall, and they're going to go with their heavy hitter. And I think the one and the team that's been in the wait for long enough and that it's conceivable to release in time.
But isn't Breath of the Wild 2? Is there like announced
yeah, but I think
heavy
that's
hitter?
going to be so big. I know it's still like reworking the map and stuff like that. I just feel like that's more of a development.
It's going to be
haul
huge for sure.
than a Super Mario Odyssey 2.
Ah, man, no, I don't know.
Okay,
I
what about this?
disagree.
What about this?
I mean, we're going to all look like idiots, or one of us will look.
I won't. What about this?
Can't wait to get this clip back to me when they announce Odyssey 2.
What about this for Nintendo's Bazooka? Because we all agree they need that sweet Nintendo Bazooka in the fall. Mario Kart 9.
That would, yeah. That actually, I'm way more on board with that than Odyssey 2 for sure.
It'll be 6 years.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, because 2014 was Mario Kart 8.
Well, they got it. They keep adding VR and Labo compatibility.
Good.
That stuff takes a lot of time.
Great. Love
Mario
it.
Kart 9, I think, is much more likely than an Odyssey 2.
Great.
For sure.
So, okay, I'm a genius. Great. Jeffin, what do you got for prediction?
Hey, this one happening for sure. I think this is the safest bet.
Yeah.
Dreams will come to PC,
Oh, that's a good one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have kind of danced around it.
Yeah.
Even as early as our cover stories, they were having a hard time answering that question.
It was a lot of, it's on PS4 right now. Was like literally how they were answering that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
it seems like a safe bet.
I think with Microsoft obviously caring less about PC exclusive, like not keeping console exclusivity versus PC, which I mean, I guess it's all Windows, so
Yeah.
they don't care as much. But and I saw a quote from Sean Layden, I think.
Yeah.
Saying that that was something that they would have to consider going forward,
Right.
not being as precious with exclusivities. And I think he specifically called out PC as an optional.
Well, also with MLB, I mean that's a big example
Yeah.
of that.
Oh,
That's
sure.
cross-platform now and stuff. So definitely Sony's opening those floodgates a little bit, and like Death Stranding, the fact that that's coming to PC in 2020,
Yeah,
I think
and-
that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, and it seems like of all the games that would benefit from it, not
Oh my
not just in
God.
terms of sales, but this is a game that needs a good community that wants to build games.
Do you think they would silo those creations?
No,
Okay.
I would
wait.
think. I would think that would go against what Media Molecule wants to do with it
Yeah.
enough, and I think it's powerful enough.
Just to clarify, you're saying the stuff made on PC will be playable on PS4 and vice versa.
Yeah. Do you think that?
Okay.
But do you think with the fidelity of a mouse, do you think there's going to be situations where you're going through games and it's like, okay, this one was probably made on PC. This one was probably made with the PS4. This one was made with the Move
Probably.
controller. I wonder if you'd be able to like.
well, I
tell
mean,
that
they
apart.
have mouse support already for PS4, right? I think they
don't-
patched that in.
Did they patch that in?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm
Okay.
talking out of my butt. I think that's one of the things that's on the list
Oh,
of stuff
interesting.
that they want
Prediction:
to do.
Dreams will get patched to include mouse support.
Yes,
on
it's coming to
PS4.
PC, but you can't use a mouse on PC, only on PS4.
Right.
Yes.
That makes sense. Let's see. Other safe prediction: Marvel's Avengers will be a mess.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just pessimism over that game overall, but it just seems like it's going to be a weird late release for this generation. That's just going to be like, well, you tried to do a Destiny type thing. Okay, moving on.
But it won't. It will not have the Ultimate Alliance defenders though, which is like a weird thing. You know what I
Maybe,
mean?
yeah.
Like where it's like Ultimate Alliance was kind of underwhelming, but everyone was like, "Hey, I just wanted to press buttons and see Captain America do stuff." Where in this will come out and they'll be like, "You know what? I'm pressing buttons and Captain America's doing stuff, but it's not as good."
I don't know. I think that Defense Force will come out again.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't know.
So.
I think this one's going to get super crapped on. I think it's going to be like the same thing with Star Wars, whereas the Star Wars Fallen Jedi came out and it was a good game, but people were still uncharacteristically down on it.
Yeah.
I think if this one comes out and it's wonky and people don't really like the character depictions compared to what they have in their heads from all the movies over these
Yeah.
years, I think they're going to really hate it.
Yeah,
They're going to savage it.
absolutely.
They'll move from Final Fantasy VII over to Avengers.
Another
to
simple,
complain.
broad prediction here. I think Dying Light 2 will be a bigger deal than we think. sales-wise and
sure.
reception. I think that's going to be a real contender for.
That's one that I always assume has already come out in a weird way, but it's just because I'm not like following it super closely.
Yeah.
But they've shown so much of it over these many years.
Yeah.
Pretty safe one that's been talked about a ton is a new Switch model this year, which a lot of people are saying 4K. I don't think it would be 4K.
I think that's nuts.
I think it'll have a better screen, but I don't think it'll be 4K. I think it'll have a bigger hard drive probably, and the hardware will be more solid.
I think basically it'll be the equivalent of the PS4 Pro. I think it's just going to be.
I think so.
Because that's been rumored for so long. I think was it Wall Street Journal
brought up
that was talking about, and like originally it's like, oh, they're making a Lite and a Pro, and it's like, oh wait, and I guess they're just releasing the Lite, and so those Pro rumors were still back there. So I think they're just saving it for this year. I totally think they're going to do that.
So there'll be like 3 versions. There'll be like the Lite, which is like I do like the Lite a lot, but like the Lite will be the lower, and then the current model will be the middle, and then there'll be a higher tier.
Right,
version.
and they need the higher tier to run those new worlds from Super Mario Odyssey too.
Well, then the question will be, will there be a handful of like exclusive Switch Pro games like Xenoblade Chronicles or Minecraft on new 3DS?
Oh God, I hope not.
Probably not. I don't
Hope not. Okay, what about this for in the safe category?
Did Serial have more?
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Okay.
One of his was actually Switch Pro.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn 2 at the launch of the PlayStation 5, launch title. It'll be the closest game we've seen yet to aping Breath of the Wild mechanics.
Well, what about the Ubisoft game?
Gods and Monsters?
Yeah.
I bet
Never coming
Horizon Zero Dawn 2 structurally will be closer to Breath of the Wild than Gods and Monsters.
Will Aloy have a paraglider?
Yes, she will.
I hope she does.
I
I
bet
want
she
her to
does.
have one.
I bet she does. But I bet just like that completely open-ended thing, you choose your own adventure through. Because think about it, like they were literally shipped at the same time. So all of the Horizon Zero Dawn developers shipped the game and said, finally we can relax, took a little vacay, and they all went and played Breath of the Wild. As they're coming up with ideas for Breath of the Wild 2, for Horizon Zero Dawn 2, it's exactly the roadmap, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I
what-
think so.
How do you think it's going to be different from the first Horizon Zero Dawn?
It won't be linear in the story.
Yeah.
Like you'll have like a handful of stories that you can just go sort of chase on your own
anyway.
out of
Right.
order. And a paraglider, which is like every open world game needs that.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I haven't played Frozen Wilds, and so I don't know where that story's left off and stuff.
Oh, sure.
I think it's just you can tackle it anywhere. I think it comes before the end of the game.
Oh, really?
Canonically,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that a game that when you beat it, it kicks you right back before the final?
I think I want to say so.
Okay.
God, I
Yeah.
need to go back and look at the ending of that game. I remember like the lore and stuff and the Zero Dawn stuff, but I forget exactly where it ends.
I remember the big beats of like, which was
Right.
cool. Like I like how that story.
Well, yeah.
concluded.
What was weird was that they wrapped up pretty much everything with her backstory and
Right,
stuff, and
right.
there weren't a lot of questions. They do have a post credit tease with one character that was very
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they'll just dive more into his story then?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think most people are on the same page where it's like looking in the distant past in that game was really interesting, but the current sort of political climate was like less interesting, and that's kind of hopefully they
Right.
can keep looking further back into the past.
Do you think they're keeping the Zero Dawn style structure for the naming? Are you gonna confuse
One
things
Dawn?
kind of like in a Shadow of Mordor kind of way? I bet they're just gonna call it Horizon New World or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
keep Horizon, change the?
Yeah.
It's not a
Absolutely,
subtitle.
Horizon New World. You heard it.
Let's see. Serial says Xbox is out in October, PlayStation 5 in November.
Man, we were on the same page. I wrote that down. Xbox gets out the gate first.
Really?
Yeah. I think they.
Do you think they know right now when the other system's launching? Or when they're launching?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. Maybe not. Microsoft might not know when Sony is, but I think they certainly have a date that they're trying to hit.
Sure.
Who do you think is ahead right now in terms of console development?
In
Like,
what sense?
like developing the new console. Like,
It's tough not to say Microsoft because we've seen it, but you never know.
yeah, I mean, I guess my impression is that Sony has been talking about it longer, and it seems like it's
I feel like I know more about PlayStation 5 than I do Xbox
and
One,
I feel like
Series X.
I guess my impression has been that it's been in more developer hands.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know about the hard drive of the PlayStation 5. I don't know what the hard drive looks like on the Series X. I have my assumptions.
There's the HDMI in and out for you.
Yeah, which
For
even
her
that
convenience.
even that has kind of been like dismissed, right, as maybe not being accurate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was in like a
wrong about
3D
that.
model that was spinning around and stuff. Huh.
Which, by the way, that was weird to me. Like that's like, I tweeted that I was like, does anyone use that?
Yeah.
Like all that does to
The HDMI in.
it just is like a confusing port when I'm
Yeah.
like moving my system around. It's like, oh, my system's not working. Oh, I must have it in the wrong port. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of people replied to me and they're like, yeah, I have my DirecTV going in there.
They're going in through the
but
outdoor.
Which seemed to be like the whole
That was
the
the
whole
point.
part of
Yeah.
the like, oh, you can run your TV through
That's
it.
why
And-
it's called Xbox One, because it's the one input.
yes, but
No, seriously, that was the pitch.
yeah, it
I thought
was
all-
like the
your
entertainment,
one entertainment
yeah.
thing. Yeah, but because I
But
don't
then
think any of us
they jettisoned all that
Well,
and pivoted
they-
away from it so
they
much
got
that
rid of Snap, where you could have like another thing running along the screen, which was weird. But like because none
And
of us
Kinect.
do any of us have cable television? I don't think any of us do.
What is
Right?
that?
Like exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think of people who still have like DirecTV or still watch cable television.
Yeah.
It works and it's interesting. Like
Sure.
you can, to run it all through your Xbox. So
Right.
I guess there's enough people taking advantage of it, and it's inexpensive enough to incorporate that they'll continue doing it. But then again, maybe that was not a real picture. So
could be.
who knows?
Let's see, another one that this is one notch up from the safe territory. Are we all in the same?
yeah.
We're marching ahead together here
Yeah,
into the
let
dicier territory.
I'll go over and see if I have any
Okay.
super safe bets. Oh, do you want a safe one maybe?
Please.
We won't get a Pokemon Sword and Shield follow-up this year. There won't be like Super Sword, Super Shield.
They're just going to skip that entirely?
I think so. I was looking at the timeline recently, and it was like 3 games, skip a year, 3 games, skip a year, 4 games this time. So I think it's time for them to skip a year.
And then I bet the one after that, I bet it's Let's Go Silver and Gold.
Yeah, probably something like. Oh well, yeah. I mean, it's funny that they're like cycling back around now because now they've remade Red and Green twice, and now they'll remake Gold and Silver again. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it'll
Okay.
be next year.
Love it. Final Fantasy 16 revealed at E3.
What do you like? Gameplay, pre-rendered cutscene.
I think it's going to be cinematic trailer. What is this? What is this? And at the end, Final Fantasy. Whoosh,
It won't
16.
really look like Final Fantasy until that end.
I think
That'd be
that's
cool.
right. I think that's exactly it. And
Yeah,
again,
okay.
it's one of those where I don't know that that's happening, but when I was at Square Enix a while ago for the Final Fantasy 15 cover story trip, I saw some stuff that is not out there yet. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, every developer has a ton that they're working on, so who knows? But like, I think this might be that.
The fact that they decided not to keep moving forward with Final Fantasy 15 DLC is also a
Right.
hint of like, well,
Right.
maybe it's time to move
And
on
the
to
confusion
16
about
now.
Luminous Studios, how that was a separate thing, then roping it in to
Yeah.
develop a game. I think it's going to be Final Fantasy 16 that they're all helping out with there.
Yeah.
Okay, dicier territory. Here's one. The Harry Potter game will be revealed for next gen.
Okay, the one that was leaked
That Avalanche is developing from Disney Infinity fame.
that looks cool.
Yeah.
Based on
Remember that
what
weird
little-
leak where it's like from focus testing at a mall?
I know, yeah, right.
So that's got to be next gen, right? Like getting out of the gate with a huge Harry Potter RPG, that's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
People are going to talk about sales bonanzas. I mean, I'm talking like Wizards Unite level cash.
Along those same lines, maybe this one's too vague, but the Rocksteady game, whatever it is going to be like a next gen exclusive. It's not going to be a cross gen.
Okay,
But
that's boring. How about this? I'll do
Yeah.
you one better, Kyle.
All right, do it.
No Rocksteady.
Punch it up.
No Rocksteady this year.
Ever. We're done with Rocksteady games.
We kick them to the curb. No,
Another tweet. Who's the director over there?
Sefton Hill.
Another Sefton Hill tweet promising no new details.
Ooh, sorry. No, I think that especially with Warner Brothers Montreal teasing their game,
Yeah,
which
this
seems like
Court of Owls,
right?
probably,
And that's
yeah.
probably going to be this year, this generation.
I think
would
that'll be
imagine.
cross-gen, probably, right?
Oh, that could be. That could
Yeah.
be. But I think with that, I don't think they're also going to want to start promoting Rocksteady's game.
Yeah, that's fair.
If it's in the superhero genre, which it seems like it probably is, probably not Batman, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Rocksteady is going to be quiet for another year, which will seem insane. That's my medium level
That's
prediction.
good.
That's
Okay.
a good medium level.
Thank you. Surreal has, for medium level, we'll have some more unionized game developers this year, but they'll be smaller studios.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so.
That's some smart stuff.
Yeah. I like it.
Not bad.
I'm hopeful for it.
Jeffem, you got a medium?
Kyle?
Whatever.
No, we've skipped you a bunch because we're rude.
Oh, okay. Well, rude guys. I guess this is well, this is maybe a little more outlandish than a medium, but Halo Infinite will have some kind of battle royale.
Now remember, 343 has said the only BR we care about is a battle rifle.
Yeah, so the mode will be called Battle
Halo
Rifle
Infinite
Royale.
will have a battle royale. You heard it here. It's happening.
Okay.
I mean, there kind of was one in 5, right? Like, there was like 30 or 40.
Warzone thing?
Yeah, I mean, but in
No,
the sense of like
that's
that
more
there was
like a
big,
battlefield kind
Yeah,
of big
there's
team
no
versus team.
royale with that. I like it. I personally want to play a Halo battle royale. I know that a lot of the internet's probably like, no effing way. And the
We
fact
hate
that
fun.
But the fact that 343, right when like PUBG took off, 343 went out of their way to make that announcement of like, you'll never see a battle royale from Halos. I feel like I was the only one that was like,
Yeah.
oh.
But how many years ago was that?
There's a couple.
I mean, when PUBG, yeah, sure, okay.
2017.
When PUBG does it, they say they don't care. When
Right.
Fortnite does it, maybe they gonna care.
Do you think there's any fusion?
How long can you deny? How long can you
Yeah.
just ignore like the biggest trend in first-person
Is it winding down?
multiplayer shooters?
Or is it still
I don't know.
pretty
I
stable?
heard Forza has one, so it's got.
Yeah, the Eliminator is taken off. But I do think like it is interesting to think that no first parties have really gotten into the battle royale game. I think maybe they see
Call
the
of Duty.
stats. No, first party developers.
Oh, right.
Nintendo,
Right?
Microsoft,
It's like the
Sony,
closest we've got is Nintendo, publishing Tetris 99? Is that probably the closest? But it's wild to me.
yeah.
It's like maybe they're saving it for next gen if they're going to take a stab at all for what that could be.
Well, but also, how many first-person multiplayer series do we even have left anymore, other than Halo?
From first
Oh.
party?
First party, I mean, yeah.
I mean, not many that are running.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Sony kind of got out of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Killzone? Maybe they're gonna drop Horizon and go back to Killzone.
Well, they had a separate studio, including the director
really?
from Shadowfall,
okay.
and he was working, but then they closed that branch. So they probably needed all hands on deck for Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
I mean, Killzone's like, it's done, right?
But
I
it would
mean,
make sense if you just want to have some first-person shooter
Yeah.
in a Sony IP. It
Yeah.
seems like that'd be a
It
good bet,
exists,
right?
yeah.
It's flexible enough.
all right. Well, Battle Royale, Halo Infinite.
I like
That's
it.
why it's infinite, because there's not even going to be a player count. They're just going to keep streaming people in.
What do you guys
Forever.
think about the overall reception to Halo Infinite? What'll be the takeaway?
people seem weirdly excited about it. Like I
They
feel like
do
they're
they do so far, but that very much feels like, oh, we show you this tiny trailer and we call it infinite, and your imagination's going to run away with it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not even like the trailer. I think I was listening to like IGN's Game Scoop recently, and they I think it was Tina Amini. I think her name is. She was like, yeah, I think it's gonna be like a return to form for Halo, and I was just kind of surprised by that take because I was like, I haven't really seen anything that's like made me think that this is gonna be like the next coming.
It was
of
on
Halo.
a Halo. What else do you want?
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I've heard that outside of of listening to IGN's podcast that people are like, there's something about it not being numbered and there being so long since 5. I think people are just optimistic about it.
I'm so much more excited about it than I ever was about Halo 4 or 5. Which
where
is
does
weird.
that come from? Like,
I think I really
I don't even
like-
think it's wrong.
I
I
think
just,
that
like-
reveal trailer was awesome. I think like the weird focus on
not the recent one with the character, but the one that was just showing.
Honestly, I will also defend that one. Like I know
Yeah.
people didn't like it, but like I thought like
I
some
thought
of
it
the
was
writing
fine.
in there was
Yeah.
solid, right?
Like the weird thing is like I don't think anyone's wrong about it. It's just like it's surprising to me that the hype is building, or it's like I don't know, another
Or
Halo.
like the general consensus that this is we're going back to the way that
maybe that's what
that
it is,
people think it used to be.
Maybe.
It used to. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
I mean, I would love for like a really fun new Halo. I didn't even finish 5. Like,
I know,
just
that's
telling,
insane.
But
I think no matter what, we're going to get a fun new Halo game. When
Sure.
Halo 1 comes to PC, hopefully in a couple months, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
I really am. I
you
love
play
that
it on
game
your
so
Xbox
much.
right now.
I want it on Steam.
Okay,
have,
why?
like-
What's the difference?
The Xbox is in the studio downstairs, and it's cold down here.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I shouldn't make fun of you for that. The way I like avoid playing my PC.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a good reason to not. I just don't like sitting at a desk. Is what it comes down to.
Yeah. But like the Halo Infinite thing, obviously people were making a big deal out of the fact that Tim Longo, who was the creative director for 5, also goes back to like Tomb Raider and stuff with the reboots. And he also does a Dev Game Club, which is a fun podcast. But the fact that he left just a couple months ago, it's a weird time for a creative director to leave a project. And I think they had some messaging out there like, oh, everything's fine. Don't look over here. It's still on track, but it is.
We still hate battle royales for some reason.
I don't know how you spin it. Like, no matter what, that's not a great sign for the project, right?
Sure.
I mean, unless it's some personal thing with him, I guess you never really know. But it has me a little bit worried, combined with the fact that they brought on, I might have talked about it before, but they brought on like Aaron Lindy, who was the lead writer for Battleborn. He was at Bungie, and then just like...
Very funny guy.
Yeah, he is a funny guy. And like halfway through last year, he also joined as like senior narrative director for Halo Infinite, where it's like, it's a weird time to have like those shuffling huge positions.
Yeah.
And there were like rumors that they're going to be a weird split where that it'll launch like single player only or multiplayer only, something like that. So maybe if it is in a bit of a crisis, they could do that, or launch one on last gen compared to next gen. So there's a lot of wiggle room for Halo Infinite and what it could finally look like. But
yeah,
I'm excited. I don't know why.
I am too. I also kind of got that same nebulous impression of like, well, this is going to be different. Maybe that's just it. It's going to be different from the last two games, which I was kind of not super interested in.
The fact that it's not called Halo 6, I think helps it.
Here's one. At E3 this year, Hello Games, Sean Murray gets on stage, announces a new procedural game for next gen. Maybe not exclusive, but going to be like partnered again. I could see him going either way with Microsoft or Sony. Probably Sony again. A new game.
So not the weird camping
Not
game.
Last Campfire, the other Hello Games. I think they've been secretly working on a new game. And this is partly, it's not a very informed take, but like at GDC talking to Sean Murray, he was very familiar at that point with like next gen machines. Like he wasn't telling me anything about it, but like I was trying to ask him about next gen, and he's like, well, I know a lot of stuff, so it's tough for me to say. And it's like, I'm sure leading developers are in the loop, but like that was pretty early. That was March last year. So that makes me think that first party's supporting him in some way.
And they also launched, because I was looking up Hello Game stuff too while I was coming up with predictions, and they launched their Hello Labs initiative kind of thing, where it was specifically looking for projects to fund that focus on procedural generation and like kind of the development of that technology
like a
and stuff.
Procedurally generated Joe Danger.
Yes.
Right.
I think loses mind.
Right. I think it's going to be more of an RPG focus, and it's going to be procedural generation of like one planet. That's going to be my prediction.
The one like pushback, I just like, for me at least, is like they have that other game that is probably smaller in scale, obviously,
and that's also like two other developers that came on, and they're just kind of like, okay, now you're a Hello Games.
There's like a small
thing.
team within Hello Games working on it. But then the other thing is like, man, it seems like they're still like all in on No Man's Sky. Like it seems like that whole team is just still fully focused on that. Like I don't know.
The team has grown quite a bit. Yeah,
okay.
There's an interview on Game Informer if you want to check it out, where it was a lot of talking to Sean Murray about exactly these things. But I mean, Sean Murray's working on other things at this point. He was talking about not too long ago, but like, oh, we're starting up the new thing, and we're trying to rope the team for No Man's Sky now to join this new thing. But you think about when they announced No Man's Sky, it was like a team of like -3 people or whatever the hell. So like, I think with that tech, they just hit a button, right?
Yeah, it's just something related to like a phone number or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the medium bets.
We're in dangerous
zone.
territory.
Metroid Prime Trilogy Switch still not out
by the end of the year.
By the end of the year, I think
that's such a bold move.
I think it'll be closer to Prime. I think it'll be like 6 months ahead of Prime 4.
Okay, they'll just save it for the hype. Why
I think
not?
So.
You're right.
I mean,
you're right.
I feel like that's like a medium guess.
Okay. What about this one? Jason Schrader, remember him? Schroeder, Copeland, from Ubisoft San Francisco. He was one of the directors on Fractured But Whole, the South Park game. We will see his and that team's game this year.
Will it be another South Park?
I think it'll be an RPG built in the Snowdrop engine, but I don't know what it'll be beyond that. Because they hired like a lot of former Telltale people, a lot of RPG heavy people.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it'll be another South Park. I think they've been working on something original. And he does list on LinkedIn that he's a creative director for some Ubisoft San Francisco project for over 2 years now.
Do you think Parker and Stone are involved in it? Because they seemed like good friends at a certain point, right? Like it seemed like they enjoyed working together.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that far.
The reason I say that is because like, who Parker and Stone are like, they're just chaos entities. Like who knows what they're doing? But like outside of South Park is the one consistent, right?
Yeah,
but
they're
like,
basically the ghosts in the courtroom scene from Ghostbusters.
Yes, exactly, right.
Okay, got
but
it.
I mean, I could see them like wanting to do an original game because they like games so much, but I guess they've done South Park so much, and then they've done a couple movies. But I wonder if they would have some other idea.
Well,
for,
then
like,
South Park
world.
Studios also is involved in. Oh my God. There's like that. Oh, the BioShock 2 director.
Okay.
Ken Levine?
No, BioShock 2.
2.
Right.
His new game that is all about like kids in a neighborhood, and it's like co-op,
dark, black, something,
long,
right?
not long, dark.
Oh, we'll get there.
Anyways, that game that released last year.
You got to find out what it is, though, right?
Jordan Thomas.
Yeah, but what is the game, though? Because it's like...
It's the Jordan Thomas
And it's
experiment.
like a co-op, right? Kind of...
Anyways, but I'll get to the name of it here. But that game was like funded or published or supported by South Park Studios, and like Matt and Trey have their name on that
that's
game.
right.
Which is a
Yeah.
very weird detail.
So those guys are obviously like really interested in games, and they had a good experience, I think, with both South Park games. I think they were happy with how that
Do
went.
you think?
They made a sequel to the first one, which to me it says enough that they enjoyed
That was
it.
a miracle. I think that's pulling teeth from every direction. The Blackout Club.
The Blackout Club. But I
Yeah.
mean, can you pull teeth from Trey Parker and Matt Stone? Like, they're just not going to do something if they don't want to do it, right? Like, they're
That's
not.
true.
It's not like Ubisoft could give them. It's not like they just had to add zeros to the check to get a second South Park game. It's like they're going to either do it or they're not.
Yeah.
And if they liked it enough to make a second one, I feel like they'd want to stay in games, and they're supporting the Blackout Club. Like,
South Park Digital Studios financed the production of the Blackout Club. Even though they weren't creatively involved, Trey Parker and Matt Stone jumped at the opportunity to work with Jordan Thomas again because they worked with him on the South Park
they
games.
liked him. Like, it
Yeah.
seems like because they would present on stage and stuff together, right? Or am I thinking of somebody different?
I don't think Jordan Thomas went on stage
Okay,
for that.
okay.
No. I think that was Jason.
Gotcha.
Anyways, that's a convoluted way, but Ubisoft San Francisco RPG released or announced this year,
And it might be funny.
and it might be a little bit funny. Yep.
Okay. There we go.
What about the new Bungie IP that NetEase is funding? Will we see that revealed this year?
It's not Destiny.
Yes, we
No.
will.
Yes, indeed.
100%.
I think just a cryptic tease, at least, of that, like coming to next gen,
Yeah.
because they might want to take some more time after last year with Destiny before they give like the big next gen push for Destiny.
Yeah.
Right. And so this would be a good way to kind of fill that gap. It's like, by the way, we have this other project from NetEase. That's a speculation.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited about that, whatever it is. I mean,
A new Bungie IP?
what with NetEase, though? I don't know.
Really? You're gonna let a publisher dictate one of your favorite
How
developers?
dare you, Kyle?
I don't know if I would call Bungie one of my favorite developers.
Really?
anymore.
But
I
you
don't-
have
I
a
didn't-
soft spot in your heart for him.
Yes. Yeah, I really, a lot of nostalgia for Halo's 1 through Reach, but like Destiny just did nothing for me. Like, I just like bounced off of it so hard both times. I really gave it a shot.
You
one
disgust
and two.
me. You disgust me. All right,
Sorry.
we're getting to
I'm sorry.
the dangerous territory here.
Dangerous.
High risk predictions.
Well, this one isn't that high risk.
Damn it.
But EA will finally announce and release Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean,
They
that's a
got to do it.
hopeful one.
And the
think
reason I
that's
came
pretty
to
safe.
that conclusion is because I was trying to come up with predictions, and so I Googled EA 2020, and they don't have any effing games coming out this year.
Oh, Dragon Age
2021, my friend.
Oh, they
They've
have a
already
window for
announced
it.
that.
Okay.
Yes. And
Madden?
everything else that they announced, like the next Battlefield, the next Battlefront, whatever
Yeah.
other Star Wars games, they've all been saying like 2021 or 2022. And there was a forum post on
my God.
on the EA forums because I was really interested at this
Yeah,
point.
that is weird.
Diving deep into it, a deepest dive you may even say, and someone said like what games are coming out in 2020, and they were like, well, we're gonna, they directed them to the EA page of games coming soon, and the representative even said we don't have anything listed for 2020 right now,
Oh, boy.
but we have the Dragon Age is coming in 2021 or something like that.
That's
It's like
wild.
You gotta come out, you gotta have something coming, and it seems like Mass Effect Trilogy probably already in the
Yeah.
works. It's got to be like pull the ripcord on that one
Yeah,
and
I
get it
mean-
out the door.
I think you're totally right.
Will we see a big sort of Anthem overhaul that will have a subtitle name like Anthem Rebirth or
it
something?
seems
Maybe.
almost too early for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's necessary, but it does feel quick. if
And,
you're
Yeah.
and
doing
even
something
like
quickly.
if you're EA, like I'm sure they want to salvage that,
Mm-hmm.
but if that's all you got, I mean they'll obviously have the sports games,
Yeah.
So it's not like the company's going to implode or something, but it feels like you should be sweating bullets at this time of we need another thing for core fans who want something else besides sports games. We got to
Quick,
give
let's
them something.
re-release Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. Maybe people will
Let's
look
try
at
that
it this
one again.
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's
there you
interesting.
go.
I think I like that.
It's happening.
Yeah. It
It's
seems
coming,
like,
fans.
Okay.
obviously, people have wanted it for a long time, but I think this year is a strong contender.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, dangerous prediction.
You got one?
Bethesda gets purchased. The sale of Bethesda.
Really?
I think they're at a real low right now. They've expanded. They've got a lot of opportunity in the future. Obviously, Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be an insane financial juggernaut when they eventually get around to that 17 years from now. And I feel like they're at a good buying price and in it's a gobbler's market.
Well, my question is, like, critically, they're sort of low, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's upset about Fallout 76. And I guess, I don't know, do we rope Rage 2 into that and stuff?
I
Like,
don't
it
know if
didn't
people
sell
are
well.
mad about it.
Not mad, but like, the thing is like, for all the crap we say about Fallout 76, I think it's making money. Like, I think there's a dedicated group
But
of
it's
people who are
burned so
playing
many fans. I don't know if like that
Yeah.
community that's still playing it is making
But,
money,
like-
but I think enough people bought it and were burned.
But
that
when it
it's
comes to
dangerous
like
territory.
a publisher developer like being up for sale, like it's going to be a matter of like, well, this game really underperformed and we need help, right? Where I don't know if Fallout.
I don't think they're in a panic mode. I don't think they'll need to, but I think I could see it happening. Yeah. I mean, it is happening this year.
that's right. That's right.
Yes. Sony's Death Loop.
And that also does seem like it would be a good time to sell, where you've had these games come out, they've kind of been middling, people don't know, but all of the focus is on the next Elder Scrolls,
Right.
the next
what's
traditional
the sci-fi
Fallout,
game?
and then
Starfield.
Starfield. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could go to publishers and say, oh, we got these huge series, like there's going to be so much hype for them.
100%.
Now let's cash it in.
Yeah.
And then get out.
You can have your very own Todd Howard. He'll dance in your kitchen every morning. And but this is ZeniMax overall, Bethesda's just obviously a component of that, all that stuff.
Yeah, that one's I don't know, man, but that's an interesting one.
I do know.
It's a dangerous one.
That's right. I'm sorry.
We all know now because it's definitely happening.
All right, dangerous territory. Come on, get risky, Kyle. Get freaky.
Metroid Prime 4 gets a trailer, possibly pre-rendered at E3.
No way.
No way.
No way.
It's happening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what was happening. Okay.
No, not coming out this year, mind
Yeah.
you, but just like because we saw a logo 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So now at least we're going to see what Samus's character model looks like. I think this year.
Boy, I don't think so, but okay. Yeah, I guess you said it.
It's on the lower end of it.
Okay.
This is like the ones that
dangerous territory.
Dangerous territory. I gotta
still
get more
building.
of these.
Another one?
Yeah.
Nintendo
Love them.
releases a Game Boy Classic.
Okay.
Okay.
Instead of doing N64 Classic or whatever,
Yeah.
because that gets into weird wonky territory. And they've had so much success with the Switch, do a little handheld Game Boy, just put every game on it.
Would it cover Game Boy to Game Boy Advance, or would it like just pre? Are they going to do Game Boy Mini, Game Boy Color Mini, Game Boy Advance Mini? Or
I
are they
didn't
just
even
gonna
think of that. If they just call it Game Boy Classic and they have Game Boy Advance games on there, game over.
I mean, that's what I want.
Game over, boy.
Like I'd rather have an Advance Classic than an original.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I'll take them all, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it could.
I don't
It
think
wouldn't
it'll
be
Advance.
hard, right?
Yeah.
You could just
Well.
put whatever.
I think Advance.
Manufacturing that stuff. I'm
I
sure
think
is a nightmare.
Advance will be separate.
Would it?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then
No,
Game Boy
no.
and Game Boy
I mean,
Color.
would it be a nightmare?
Oh
like-
no, it would be super easy.
I don't know what I'm talking
You could-
about,
dude,
but you say it wouldn't
the
be
Game Boy-
hard to like make a piece of hardware. I think that's a whole
Well, sure,
thing.
but
no,
like
the hardware, but that's like the shell, like in terms of the if you're going through the trouble to make something that will play Game Boy games
Yeah.
on a handheld thing, you already have the technology. It's all going to be ROM files anyway.
Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance was backwards compatible with Game Boy all the way
Right.
back to the beginning anyway.
And like
so.
none of it's going to be hardware intensive to
Yeah.
begin with.
And they
so
could still, it's like, well, they want to save some runway, but they could save the runway by having the DS Classic. Like, I still
Yeah.
feel like people would buy that. There's so many
mean,
great games for the DS.
To be fair, like I want it to cover everything: Game Boy, Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance. I think it'll be
you're,
Game Boy,
you're just
Game Boy
wondering
Color.
if they're going to
I think
split
Advance.
it up
I
in
think
order
Advance
to
will
milk
get
it.
separated because Advance, I think, is treated sort of by Nintendo as a separate console, where Game Boy and Game
also,
Boy Color are not.
yeah, which Game Boy Color still had the same controller layout, right?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was identical.
But did it Advance added like shoulder buttons?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that
maybe
complicates it. Yeah, wasn't there a patent or something for it was like a Game Boy case for that you put over your iPhone
Yeah,
or
I've
like
seen
a
that.
phone.
Yeah, and
I think
would
that was
leave
like an
the
official
screen open, right?
Yeah, to kind of backwards in a strange way create like a Game Boy Classic
It was
that's just like an
Retron,
app.
and you could even put cartridges in it, which was really weird.
What are you talking about? No, we're talking about other things.
No, well, I guess we're talking about two different things, but there was a Retron. Maybe I can find it.
It's not the Retron. There was like a Nintendo patent.
Oh,
that
there was a
people thought,
Nintendo
like, is this
patent.
going to be the
Okay.
Game Boy Classic?
Oh,
It's just
okay,
like an
okay.
app with this weird case thingy.
Gotcha.
That's all right.
Well, either way,
Very good.
Game Boy Classic 2020.
Yeah, in
I
the
think that's a
can.
good one.
Let's see. Here's a.
Oh, also, they won't make enough of them, and it will sell out, and that'd be a huge headache. You won't be able to get one for Christmas.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a bold prediction, Jeff.
Oh, that's right. I should have started with that one.
All right, here's a dangerous, bold prediction.
Okay.
Does everybody remember Gearbox's Project 1v1? What's that, you say? No?
I do.
Well, you will again this year. My prediction, Gearbox's Project 1v1 is turned into something called Borderlands Duel for the launch of next gen.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's good.
That's
That
why
is a
they-
good prediction.
That's why they shut down those Battleborn servers. Got to make a room.
That's
you know?
right.
Got to clear
That's
the
right.
runway, as you said, for
But-
1v1.
But they have the relationship with Sony because they were the first to announce the PlayStation 5 game that we all remember the name of. Godfall. So they have some relationship there, you know?
Well, it was called 1v1, right?
Project
Which was
1v1.
probably like,
1v1.
that was like a code
That
name.
was a word.
Yeah,
assumed.
you played it, right, Jeff?
Yes, I did.
What
At
was it again?
E3. It was a 1v1 shooting.
It's like a Quake feeling game?
Yeah, kind of. But then there was kind of the Battleborn style loot in between matches, I think,
Done deal.
which was
Done deal.
which was a
I
mess.
mean, you were positive on it, right? Like most people were. It wasn't
No.
like
You were pretty positive
okay.
it sucked, right?
I don't remember being. I think I may have said the gameplay was fine or whatever.
Okay.
But even then it felt very weird. Of like we're kind of floating this out while everyone's waiting for
Right.
Okay.
Borderlands.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
All right.
and then we didn't hear anything for like 2 more years. So
Okay.
And I think they're in a little bit in safe mode after seeing especially the sales of Borderlands 3. I think it's like, wow, let's just
It
double
did
down.
okay, right? It did well, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, but like, it's like they are in safe mode before Borderlands 3 and they're just realizing, being reminded of how amazing that franchise is from
Right.
the sales and just, public knowledge, awareness angle that they're going to reskin that sucker.
Okay.
All right?
You ready for this one's low chance of actually happening?
Not the way I see it. It's dangerous, but you're confident it's happening.
Dangerous. This is dangerous, but I'm confident it's happening. E3 probably. Well, I guess there's the standalone Sony events, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
State
God
of-
of War 2 teased, and Atreus is older. Like that's the
Yep.
big tease as we
Yep.
see like a teenager Atreus. And you know what? He's a little bit angry.
Yes.
He's angrier. He's
I-
older and he's just a little bit angry all the time. Just like his dad.
I think
60-year-old
you're
dad.
absolutely right. I think the most
He will
insight.
walk out of the shadow.
Ooh, I could see it, man. I think that God of War 2 is coming faster than people think. And I
I don't know,
think
Corey Barlog was just like hanging out in Vegas, right? I mean, what's he doing? He's not doing
he's
anything.
starting a new IP or whatever within Sony Santa Monica, right? And a lot of weird sci-fi teases and stuff.
They actively try to jump directors, right, between God of Wars. I mean, Barlog even said as much. Like
He said he's not directing the sequel.
okay. I would
Yeah.
love for him to, but like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if it is a new director because that's historically how that series.
I
has
think
gone.
it's going to be, if I had to guess, my guess is it's going to be
David
Matt,
Jaffe.
David Jaffe. Matt Sophos,
Okay.
who was a writer, I think maybe even like narrative lead on the last God of War, but he was also the creative director for Lost Planet 3.
Oh, you had him on the.
We
Game
had him on the
Informer, right?
podcast,
Yes, that was
and
good
I know
interview.
we keep plugging Game Informer stuff, but go check out their stuff.
Turns out we all worked there for nearly
Yeah.
a decade.
But like on Game Informer's YouTube channel, you can find there's a big spoiler conversation, and it's me talking to the 2 writers, and Richard, I forget the other guy's name, but it's also Matt Sophos, and it's interesting that like Sony put them forward. In my mind, it's like this is them testing the waters of like how does this guy do
Yeah.
in an interview, and that is the most that they've ever talked about because I pressed him a fair amount on like the future and without any spoilers, like what the reveals at the end of that game could mean for the future.
Which were apparently late in development, according to them, right? Supposedly.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah. Anyway. Not here.
But I think they hint towards a darker future for Atreus, which is really interesting.
yeah, and so what? God of War was 2017,
2018.
28. Oh, it was 18.
Yep.
Oh,
it was like
okay.
April 2018.
Yeah, so maybe so a tease. I don't think it's coming out this
Yeah.
year. Maybe 2 years, a year or two, but like a tease at least. I mean, the original this is so confusing. The God of War for PS4. the Norse god of war, was teased pretty early, wasn't it?
A couple years before, 83. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeff,
Yes. We're definitely in danger territory now.
high voltage.
High voltage.
When we touch.
The danger zone.
Yes. Rockstar will reveal their next game, and it will be a new IP.
Ooh. Agent? Does Agent count? Or is Agent just dead?
I would totally count Agent. Agent seems much more unrealistic than this one.
So
even more dangerous.
So it wouldn't be GTA 7. It would just
No,
something-
Heave does count GTA 7 as a new IP.
Yeah,
so,
that's how IPs work, Kyle. That's exactly what a new IP is.
Pouncing on me.
I love it. Is there going to be one studio heading it up that you have in mind? One Rockstar studio?
The main one.
Oh, the big dog?
Yep.
Ow!
No, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I'm
I
not
love it.
going that far,
Okay,
but
all right. I like it.
you will see it in 2020. They'll announce it, and it will blow your mind.
Here's my very
next gen
specific.
exclusive, right?
Oh, yeah. My very specific prediction. Monolith. They've been quiet for a while
There's
since Shadow of
multiple
War.
monoliths, right?
That's right. Not Xenoblade Monolith.
Okay.
This is Shadow of War. Shadow of Mordor Monolith.
Mm-hmm.
Their next game, a Fear reboot.
The horror first-person shooter.
That's right. They've built up so much expertise in
4R.
That's right.
Okay.
No, the full reboot. This is just out there. It's like, well, they're probably due for some sort of announcement. If I was Warner Brothers and looking through, like, Monolith is really good working with IP. We got enough studios working on this superhero crap. What else can we do with them? I guess Fear, there might be an audience for bringing that back.
But I mean, how far out is that Amazon Lord of the Rings show? They're announcing casting and stuff.
Is Warner Brothers involved with that, though? I don't think so.
Why wouldn't they be, right?
I don't think they are.
No?
No, Amazon
Okay.
got the rights from Tolkien.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that's confusing.
It is
Okay,
very
so they don't
confusing.
care about the show then, you think?
Unless it's kind of like a Witcher game, Witcher Netflix show, kind
Yeah.
of like maybe it'll remind people that it's good. But I think just Shadow of War, that was that studio going all in as much as they could with the systemic design. Warner Brothers going all in as much as they could, meet them halfway by shoving in microtransactions. And I feel like that's the end of that road, right? It's also a little bit of like the end of that journey.
That didn't really make an impact ultimately,
Exactly.
right? I mean,
yeah. The other twist, maybe Monolith pulling from IP. You think about the most valuable IP Warner Brothers has, Matrix. They don't go back to Matrix Online, which they made, but make like a Matrix brawler.
Yeah, that new movie is, 2 years out, something like that?
I doubt they would have known about it back in 2017 when they would have had to have kicked this project off. But if in any way they could have had a blessing from
But
the
so
Wachowskis.
you think they're done with systemic Nemesis-style stuff, is what you're saying?
I think they could adapt it to like another IP, like maybe like a Mortal Kombat action game or something, which would be insane. But
oh boy,
I mean,
that'd be
I don't
so
know.
weird.
I mean, Boone would probably be up for that, right? Like let another studio make a Mortal Kombat.
Oh, you want
action-
Mortal Kombat? Please take it, please.
I mean, they're usually
Yeah.
they haven't been in many years, but there was a time where they were experimental with Mortal Kombat and doing different things with it, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. All right, other big stuff.
I got some weirdo ones.
Great.
This is more of a dream than a prediction, but it's definitely gonna happen.
There you go.
The PS5
Yep.
will have some sort of portable element, whether it's like streaming or something. Like, I don't know.
VMU.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
It's just kind of something I really want, and I hope that they looked at the success of the Switch and try to incorporate it in some way. Unlikely, but it's gonna happen.
Okay.
It will happen.
Love it. Love it.
Are we out of cereal ones?
Oh my God! Thank you. Cereal. Look, I know we're all saying confidently that these are going to happen, even if they're bold. But the cereal one.
Is it Dota related?
Yeah, he's sick. Yeah, he's sick in the head. He should be in a loony bin. He says there will be a new small-scale Witcher game released this year. Maybe like that weird Gwent story thing. Maybe that's the realm.
Okay.
What, is that still PC exclusive?
That's a good question.
Because that would be fun to see on like Switch.
Are you giving him wiggle room? Like if they port that to Switch, he'll be like
No. I don't.
crowing?
No, it would have to be something different.
It'll
But
be
maybe like a Telltale style adventure
No,
kind
I
of
think-
story
Okay.
thing.
I think it'll adapt the TV show and get the likenesses of the actors and be a clearly rushed project from another developer.
That's great. That sounds
It's
great.
so stupid on Netflix's part if they're like, we've got this Witcher license. We should make a Witcher game. We're doing it with Dark Crystal. We did it with Stranger Things.
Well, it's just like-
what if there was a Witcher game?
Was it the Walking Dead Survival Instinct style? Remember that? Where it was like based on the
God.
AMC show? Yeah. What a nightmare.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen though. Serial said as much.
Yep.
I have a bunch of rapid fire. These people are due for a new game.
Okay.
But do you have any bold predictions before that?
Oh, I got some
Oh,
crazy ones,
please.
my
Okay.
friend.
Yeah, I think I have.
Are we
I have like
to
one
Crazy
more.
Town
yeah,
now?
yeah, we're in. Well, you just heard Serials.
Okay. This one's insane, and I can't believe it's going to happen
Yeah,
in 2020.
yeah,
Microsoft will purchase Hello Games
love
Okay,
it.
in terms of because they've been buying lots of developers. I feel like Hello Games is kind of in a weird spot now. They could sell out, dude. And I don't think it would go to Sony. I think they would go the other way. And I
It'd
think
be a fun twist.
Yeah.
Microsoft would be willing to shell out the cash.
I don't know if Hello Games needs to do it. I think they're sitting pretty. I think that game is continuing to sell
Yeah,
so well.
I know. That's why it's so crazy that it's happening.
Oh, that's right. That is nuts.
Do you have other crazy ones? Or
I
you
don't. I'm out of
okay,
crazy
here's my
ones.
last crazy one. I saved the craziest for last.
This is just you crying into the
It's just-
microphone.
I'm going to be crying into the microphone in 20 minutes. Right, so Ring Fit Adventure, I think, was a hit, right?
Oh boy.
The Wii Vitality sensor will make some kind of return,
Okay.
and it's based on like the success of Ring Fit Adventure, and like they're seeing some people do want to get better. They want to get better, like MinnMax playing Switch, and there is like that element of like you can hold your finger over the IR sensor on
Yep.
the controller to get your pulse. And I think whether that's like a separate piece of hardware that you wear while you're working out that's integrated to the Switch or Pokemon Sleep or something like that, or it's like an action game, a fantasy game, like takes advantage of checking your pulse while you're playing.
Like Super Mario Odyssey 2.
Yeah, sure. We'll take your pulse.
The Pulse Planet.
Breath of the Wild 2 will take your pulse, and we'll say, oh, it's like the Wii Vitality sensor.
All right. That's good.
The end.
More
pretty
bold
good.
ones? That's it?
I think that's it for me.
I got
Jaffa?
one more.
Please.
And I'm loving that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Sony will announce its own Game Pass, and it will be part of the PlayStation 5 subscription service.
The what? The PlayStation 5?
Yeah. And
Oh.
so instead of just paying, instead of doing like the free game every month,
Yeah.
they'll just go Game Pass style, and the money that you're paying to play online will also get you access to a
Their
list,
first party games, you think? Last of Us 2?
Yeah, they're gonna give all those awesome exclusives away for free. That's why
Wow.
it's so crazy.
I love it. I love it.
I don't
okay.
think that's insane, honestly. Sony instituting some kind of Game Pass like competitor.
Well, they have
if-
like the
and if you-
stream thing now.
Yeah,
but
but if you wrapped it in with the PS5, that's another reason to go out and
Yeah.
get the new hardware.
there it is, folks. You heard it here first.
It's gonna happen.
We're dialing things back. Here are just some things that I think are developers that are due. So less crazy, but I keep an eye out. Giant Sparrow. It's been 3 years since What Remains of Edith Finch. I
Okay.
can see their next game being announced.
Yeah, the Switch port came out 8 months ago.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
But it will be a sequel about another
What's-
person named after a different type of bird.
That's right.
What still remains of Edith Finch in a different house?
Mario and Rabbids 2. I could absolutely see
Yeah,
happening
that
this
seems-
year.
yeah.
Okay. Super Hot 2. It's been 4 years since Super Hot.
Super hotter.
Yep, there we go. I know they worked on Super Hot VR, so that's kind of
Yeah,
nebulous,
I don't know.
but-
See, I think they would do a full something original. you
Yeah,
know?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Frictional Games from Soma fame. They're
Okay.
due for a new game. I can see that being announced this year. The Lego game. This one's tricky. They have Lego Star Wars, probably the first half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What is Lego working on next? My guess, Lego Avengers 2, where they'll
Okay.
have like Captain Marvel and then also Endgame and Infinity War, the Lego-ized versions of that.
Yeah, when Lego Worlds was this year? Is that?
Worlds?
I think so. Right? It
That
was on
came out
Game
a couple
Pass.
years ago.
Did it? But it came to consoles recently. Am I just talking out my butt?
I think they just put it on Game Pass recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was more recent than that.
And then Vicarious Visions. They've been relatively quiet. They've done a lot of support roles. I could see their full original Crash Bandicoot game getting announced, especially with the PlayStation 5. Sony would desperately want that
Launch
on
with a
there.
Crash Bandicoot.
Honestly.
It worked once.
Another one, Jonathan Blow. The Witness, it's been 4 years. I know he takes his sweet time, but come on, man.
Did you see him tweeting the other day?
Oh, no.
Continue on. I'll find
No,
the
that's
tweet.
it. What's that?
Oh, I took a screenshot of it because it was basically, he said, I'm going to tweet something that's going to upset a lot of people. And then if you looked at it, the follow-up tweet, there were 2 tweets that said, this tweet has been deleted.
Oh.
This tweet has been deleted. So I don't even know what he said. I didn't look into it that deep, but I was just like, that makes total sense. It's like, all right, let me call my shot. This one's going to piss people off. And then 2 tweets that got deleted like immediately.
Awesome.
What if that was all a ruse and he just actually tweeted nonsense and then deleted them so that it would tell that story?
Oh, maybe.
Interactive narrative fiction.
Clever fellow.
Oh, I'm back to bold predictions.
Oh, we're back.
Stadia, end of 2020. A relative
Dead in the water?
success.
Oh, on the relative success.
I was
Yeah.
going to say Stadia 2020 canceled.
Canceled?
Yeah.
I think once
Like they
get
just
out
pull
of,
out.
I think once it's like you see, and especially families see, oh, we could spend $400, $500 on a new console, or we could also play the game for streaming, and then it's also when there's no barrier and you don't need to be a member of the Founders Edition or whatever. I think there's a good chance it'll break through and that people will be like, okay, I guess I'll start paying attention to Reggie Watts in these commercials.
But aren't we already there?
No.
Like, can't I tell a friend? Like,
No, it's still a
you can
Founders
go-
Edition. No.
You can go play Red Dead Redemption 2 with Stadia if
No.
you pay. How much does it cost to get into Stadia right now?
$170 or whatever.
Okay, so
Yeah.
still like a third of the price of actually it depends on what console you're looking at.
That's too messy. If I was able to tell a friend you can stream Red Dead and only pay $60 for it,
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
See, yeah, I think you and I are kind of on the same page, and like I like Stadia. Like I want it honestly. Like,
I like the idea of
I
it.
like the idea of Stadia. I
Yeah.
want it to succeed. I think it already missed its window. Honestly, like I think the Founders Edition was a flop, and I think that's. I don't think when it like sort of reboots with that free version, I think people are already burned by it. But
I think so, but I think there's still the mass audience that doesn't understand it, and their ads have been horrific. But if the tech gets to a point and word of mouth spreads, especially when you're looking down the barrel of the price of these consoles, I think a lot of people will be down for it.
Maybe, but it's also, mainstream in the sense that you still have to have some kind of PC to play it on. You have to get a controller that you're going to know how to plug into stuff. I guess it's
fine.
you don't. Yeah,
And you don't
I
need the
feel
PC
like-
necessarily. You
I
have a
feel-
Chromecast, you have your phone.
But there's still hardware, right? Like whether it's a small
I
barrier
think
or a big barrier.
there is a tech hurdle there that we're saying like, oh, this is going to be great for like the mainstream who know nothing. And I think there's still enough hurdles there. I think at some point it's easier to just get a console that you plug into your TV because you understand how that technology works.
Could be.
Yeah. The idea, like I have those, friends who are like parents and stuff who don't want to buy a new console, and it's like I tell them about how great Red Dead Redemption 2 is, and if I could say like you should check out this game, like you can spend the $60 on it by going through Stadia and like play without having to worry about anything. Like that is a very attractive proposition, but like I don't know if it's gonna click.
Look, that's why I'm saying that it's going to be huge in 2020. There we go. There we go. Let's see. Watch Dogs Legion reception. Anybody have any predictions there?
Well, here's the thing: isn't that in 2021 at this point? Or it's like it's
no,
fiscal.
it's still nebulous. It's one of those weird
Okay.
fiscal things.
'Cause
But
I
I
think
believe it's still planned for 2020.
Like if you look at its like Wikipedia page or something, I think it has it listed as like 2021.
You're gonna believe that? That's what the hackers put in there, man.
That's right.
I mean, but ignoring that element of it, the question was, what's the reception?
Yeah.
Positive?
There it is. You heard it here first, folks.
That's gonna happen.
Positive reception.
And last prediction: which console is getting out of the gate strongest?
Xbox.
I think Sony out of the gate, and then Xbox catches up very quickly. I think there's so much goodwill for the PS4 this
Are you
generation.
talking
For sure.
sales-wise?
Yeah,
And there was a lot of goodwill for 360 over
that's
PS3.
true. That's true.
I just
but
think-
there's no burned bridges like with the messaging of the Xbox One at launch at this point. And I think Xbox is playing a smarter game at this point, but I still think it'll take a while before it fully catches up.
Sure. I do think this coming generation, I think it's going to be in that sort of back and forth race where Nintendo's sort of doing its own thing off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
This generation was Sony. I think Microsoft's going to be the next one, at least in America. But I think that's a fair point of like, initially Sony in the lead,
Especially with
Microsoft.
like the IP that Sony can launch with. Like, forget about
I
it.
feel like they're in more dangerous territory of like they could screw things up because they had, like they struggled with all the multi-platform play stuff and kind of weird stuff. I think it could be very easy for them to mess something fundamental up and have it totally screw their sales. But just going into it, if they don't do that, they have such a library of titles that Microsoft just doesn't have. They still don't. Microsoft needs to come out with more first-party stuff that will make people say, "Oh, well, I'll get an Xbox instead."
Yeah. Right.
And
Especially when
have that.
Halo Infinite's going to be on last gen.
And Hellblade 2, as much as I'm excited for it, isn't like a Last of Us 2,
Right.
Sure.
Hey, do you guys know how this whole thing runs?
Patreon.
That's right. Patreon.com/MinnMax.
2 N's.
Hey, good job, Kyle. See, you're right on top of it, man. So if you check out that page, you can see different tiers of support. You can see behind us, we have the Wall of Heroes TV, which cycles throughout the MinnMax Show podcast. Zachary Pligge wanted to put his name on there and a picture of him looking like a real champ. Here's an interesting one. Superhero Sinema Scoop. That is a new supporter of MinnMax this month. And so they get on the Wall of Heroes, but then they also are such a huge supporter that we get to read a little something about them.
Ooh.
Here's what they are. This is Riley Hill over from Superhero Cinema Scoop. Superhero Cinema Scoop is proud to sponsor MinnMax. Superhero Cinema Scoop is a new YouTube channel dedicated to bringing you all the up-to-date news on your favorite superhero movies, shows, and video games. News from Marvel, DC, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spawn, and many more are represented. Videos are uploaded at least once a week and can be enjoyed by the whole family. Just search for Superhero Cinema Scoop on YouTube, and remember, that's cinema spelled with an S. For super. I added that part at the end. Thank you so much, Riley Hill. I checked out his videos, and it's like, this is exactly the level of supporter that I've been dreaming of. Just like somebody that I think in his intro video, he's like, all my friends were sick of me talking about superhero news, so I just decided to build a YouTube channel around it. And then like having somebody go out on a limb, trying to make content, and then just hoping to get more eyeballs on it and supporting MinnMax by doing that, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so the family-friendly stuff, he seems like a nice guy.
I think that's a good angle too, of like keeping it family friendly. Like that's nice. Like it's good to know that going into it.
Right.
Yeah.
He also had a video up recently where he's like looking through old ads in comic books, which is very fun and specific. He had a video up recently talking about the rumors that Hulk and Namor are back at Marvel, that they can for the cinematic rights, and so they can make a standalone Hulk movie at this point. And then there was like rumors for so long that Namor that they wanted who's that the good guy? Keanu Reeves to play Namor and stuff.
Good guy?
So a lot of fun stuff. Thank you so much, Riley Hill, for supporting us. And check out Superhero Cinema Scoop and leave a nice comment. Let them know that you watched it because of us.
And it's also nice to have an endorsement like that where, for our viewers, it costs them nothing to go check it out.
Yeah,
so
that's a great point.
Go help them out. See if you like the content.
Yeah, and like, even though I didn't grow up a huge superhero guy, like I love the business of superhero movies. It's fascinating. A lot of it's coming from like Kevin Smith and his podcast and stuff. I will listen to rumors about superhero movies all day. And I can't quite explain why.
Yeah, I think once I heard you explain it once is like that was what you survive on. Like that is basically your food is superhero movie rumors. I think you were talking
That sounds like a Ben Hansen quote.
Yeah, and I got a big scoop of Superhero Cinema Scoop. There it is right there. Thank you so much, everybody. And again, you might have noticed as well that BeatenDownBrian, Hero to the People, he changed his Wall of Heroes photo.
Oh, did he?
He changed it from his cute dog on the farm over there to now being a plague tale and a quote from MinnMax on there saying it's probably good.
Perfect.
Because he's so mad that we aren't playing that. So I'm just saying, the TV behind us has
Probably
zero
good.
cute pets on it. If you would like to fix that, you can be a $100 supporter even for 1 month. I think it'd be super fun.
God, I want that to be a box quote on just some game. Probably good, just in the trailer. Amazing.
All right, community questions. We make a post every week on Patreon. If you're a Patreon supporter at any level, you're welcome to leave a question. We got a lot of very good stuff from folks. Here we go. James Cooper. First one, a twist. He says, hello, everybody. I don't have a question, just a small request. Not sure if it's something you can do, but can you please give a shout out to the Australian Red Cross bushfire appeal? The fires here are worse than they have ever been, and we need all the help we can get in Australia. Yeah, our heart goes out to the Australian community. It is wild. You following that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, former GI Australia editor David Milner was sort of in the midst of it, and it was scary to watch him go through that. So yeah, absolutely. If you can donate anything.
There we go. Evan McHugh says, what do y'all think of the Switch Pro leaks? I guess we already talked about it. Yeah. Is it poppycock? I think there probably will be a Switch Pro this year, but the idea of it running 4K I think is poppycock.
4K I think is the line it won't cross, but will be cool otherwise.
Yeah. The line I'm going to be crossing is an animal line. Hang on, let me write
That's
down.
an Animal Crossing
Are you taking a note so you can edit that out later?
Yeah. Okay, great. And we have Hugo A says, "What games from last year are you still working on?" I'm close to finishing Control, and we'll start Disco Elysium afterwards, hoping to be done before Resident Evil 3 and Cyberpunk drop.
Yeah, I mean, we went through a lot of
Everything.
Basically, a little bit of everything. I had a weird experience, Kyle, where it's like, I went back to Death Stranding because I just realized, like, man,
a hard one to
it's
go
my
back to.
holiday break, and there's a Kojima game that I don't dislike. Like, I haven't hit anything in that game yet that I don't like. Like, I like the world. I don't mind wandering. I don't mind some slow moments. But I just keep wanting to bail on it, and I don't know why.
You can if you want. I'm not gonna be upset about it. I think you would I think you asked Serial in that window where he had played it and it was not publicly available, and you asked him will I like this game?
Yeah.
And I think he said it might be a struggle for you.
Right.
I do think the game does. If you like it at all right now, I think it improves as you go further in because whatever the hang up is traversal, which I don't know if it is. That element gets easier and easier as you go.
Right.
I hope you stick with it.
I want to.
It is a Hideo Kojima game through and through to the end, which I appreciate about it, and I think you'll like about it too.
Okay.
So
all right.
I hope you keep going with it.
Brian W. Wrote in as well saying he's at chapter 5 and he's not really digging it. Should I keep going? Is it
Okay.
worth it to see it through the end? At that point, call it quits.
Yeah, that's pretty far in at that point because I feel like chapter 3 is kind of like the line where it's like I'm in or I'm out. You know what I mean? Because that's when you start getting equipment that helps you move around easier. So maybe if you're actively disliking it at that point, I mean, maybe it's time to move on. But go look up the ending because I think it's cool and worth looking at.
Something with that game that I don't think people talked about enough is a quiet little news story. But Ken, who's the producer on that game, and he's produced Kojima's games since Metal Gear Solid 3, he left Kojima Productions right at the end. Like there was a weird split. I think that's a huge thing. Like Ken is the production man, making sure things are happening for Kojima behind the scenes. Like he was Kojima's right-hand man. Like obviously Yoji Shinkawa is for the art, and then Ken's for production. And so losing, in terms of the leadership at Kojima Productions, 1/3 of that is pretty wild. And I'm curious what it'll mean for the future of Kojima games.
Because it was they finished Death Stranding and then he left, right? So interesting.
And he's a weird case where
does he help with writing and stuff like that? Because there's usually 3 credited writers, but they're not names I've recognized.
No, I don't think he's a writer, but he goes back and he's a programmer or artist, I forget, but he worked on old Konami games like Valiant Hearts. Is that the strategy PS1 RPG?
Wait, Vagrant Hearts?
Not Vagrant Story.
Okay. Oh,
I think it's Valiant Hearts.
That's the World War I game though, isn't it?
Oh, hang on. PS1 RPG. Having a computer in front of you is so
it's helpful.
weird. But anyways, he was also, the crazy thing is he went to school. Yeah, Valiant Hearts is not the game. Okay. Vandal Hearts.
Vandal Hearts. Close enough.
Yes.
You got it.
But he went to school in Minneapolis. He's a Japanese guy, but he went to school in Minneapolis. So on the Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero's cover story trip, I was just talking to him and he listed his favorite Chinese restaurants in Minneapolis. I was like, what? That's crazy. So maybe he can come back. We can get him on the show.
There you go.
That'd be
That'd be
very fun.
amazing.
What games are you guys working on though from 2019 still?
Well, I obviously have to play Control, so I can give it back to Kyle
correct.
at some point.
Hurry. Trying to think of what other. The big one for me that is Astral Chain.
Yeah.
I've multiple times, in fact, last night I put Breath of the Wild cartridge in the system because I paused on Astral Chain cartridge and I was like, no, I want to play Breath of the Wild tonight. So, but that is the one that I'm that I want to go back to that I didn't touch at all in 2019. Sure. And if Disco Elysium comes to consoles, I'll check it out, but I'm not confident that I'll be into that game.
It might be a while before it comes. Yeah. Well, I could see it later this year or something, right?
Yeah.
Joseph C. Doherty says, hey, Ben in the cohorts, are any of you excited for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? Where are your guys' expectations for that game? I am personally hyped as HE double hockey sticks for it.
As the home of infinite losers.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I'm also not expecting it to be groundbreaking by any means.
Yeah.
I am strangely looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a solid 7.25.
Yeah. My expectations, I think, are in check for what that game will be.
Yeah.
But it is my, and I don't mean to, this as a way to hype up that game, but it is my dream Dragon Ball game. Of a kind of an open action game. I don't want to do fighting games.
You want an RPG?
Xenoverse. I want an RPG. And if this gets even a little close to that, I'll enjoy it. I'm excited for it. But I think that 7 range, I think, is a good
good window of review scale.
I'm going with low expectations and maybe I'll be impressed. I know they released like character progression trailers and stuff like that. I haven't looked at that yet.
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to be surprised about like, oh, you play as other characters and stuff like that. Like it's still kind of nebulous to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to covering it. And thank God we have a real Dragon Ball powerhouse here with Jeff. I'm at the table.
But you're saying it's an open world RPG?
Yeah,
think.
but then the fighting's basically just Xenoverse stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it would be fun for you to play it for a bit.
Yeah.
And
That
let us know what you
that does
think.
sound more interesting. It's always sounded like an interesting series when you idiots talk about these characters
cool
fighting
world.
and it's
Yeah.
these ridiculous fights
Oh,
and
they
stuff.
fight.
But I don't want to play a fighting game
Yeah,
essentially.
you
But
don't
an
wanna watch
open world
800
kind of
hours of
RPG
anime.
progression thing.
All right. And it'll tell you the story
I'll
of
try
Dragon
it.
Ball Z.
I'll try it.
Great.
And then maybe I'll be the biggest Dragon Ball fan and I'll punch you all
It would-
into infinity or whatever
We'll do
happens in those.
that.
That actually could be like maybe a fun future segment. It's like you don't have to beat it or anything, but just play like the first couple of hours of it, and we get your sort of take on what's happening in the story. Because I think it's just retelling Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, let's do it on the
we'll
Great
do it.
Goaty Hunt stream.
yeah, that'd be great.
Every Tuesday. Colin Birch says, what are the chances of some of the big 2020 titles hitting the next generation consoles day one? I have original Xbox One and PS4, and they can really struggle with some current games. I'm beginning to feel like I should just wait and play games on the next generation.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be backwards compatible, both, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a weird way of looking at it. I was thinking that he's thinking of like ports and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
I thought he was asking, should I buy a PS4 Pro tomorrow, or should I wait for PS5?
Well, that's weird because if it's backwards compatible, would it be like the equivalent of playing the games on a PS4 Pro?
Yeah, I think so.
Who
would be,
knows,
right?
right? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess.
playing Xbox games on the 360 upscaled them to make them look sharper.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I
Because
think-
it's the same disc, or you're buying the same game.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It just will run better on a PS4 Pro. But if it's on a PS5, then you would
Yeah.
assume it would probably run even better than a PS4 Pro.
And you might as well wait because then at that point too, they might release like new generation versions of it, like Control. I would have to believe they're going to have like
We're looking at,
the
like, 9
expanded Game of the Year edition for next
well,
gen.
yeah, that's what I was wondering if that was his original question of like you have those like gap games where it comes out at the end, but then they're going to do a better version
Yeah.
when it comes out on the new system, which
Yeah.
which I would assume when we get to those games, you're going to know if it's going to come out on both, right?
I mean, we're looking at like a 9-10 month wait for PS5. Like, there's always that like you can get Xbox One X, play those games you want to play, and sell it to get a
Yeah.
Xbox
Just wait.
Series.
Just
Just
wait.
wait.
Wait it out.
If you can wait.
Oh yeah. Evan McHugh says, "What are your guesses for the prices of the next Xbox and the PlayStation 5?" I feel like 500 is likely, but
Yeah.
hasn't that historically failed for past SKUs? They always dump it back down to 400 within a year. Yeah, I think-
$499 I think seems pretty likely. I mean, just with inflation and everything, and
Are you thinking higher? What are you thinking? What's going on in that head of yours?
I was thinking 400.
$399.
Yeah.
I don't know why that makes more sense to me. $399.
It's like maybe they just take a bath on that, but
I was thinking 500
yeah.
Yeah.
because it sounds like these are going to be much more powerful consoles.
And there might be also options.
Like the step up, at least in terms of what did PS4 Pro and Xbox One X debut at?
I think $399, but Hanson's going to double check. Yeah, now the other thing, I think the price could be a little higher on these because there's going to be options to play those games streaming at a cheaper level. So these are the premium consoles, right? Like the Series X is like for the person that is a hardcore gamer who is going to, I mean, frankly, buy it as long as, it's probably like under 700, they'd be happy to pay that. Because like if you're more leaning casual and you want to play Hellblade 2, there's going to be options for you to play without having to drop money on a big console, right?
XCloud.
Yeah.
PS4 Pro launched at 400.
And so it
$499.
seems like if they can ask 400 for what was this mid step, like no one was blown away by the PS4 Pro's power or the Xbox One X's powerful, even though they are more powerful than the base systems. It was such a smaller step. This seems like both companies are at least billing it as this is going to change everything, which obviously it's not going to, but it seems like a much larger jump in tech that I think it will be easier for them to just say, I mean, you pay like $800 for a new phone at this point every other year.
Do you think they'll be the same price, or is there going to be some shenanigans, some skullduggery, as Matt Helgeson would say?
I think it'll be the same
I
price.
think it'll be the same price.
Okay.
Yeah. 500. Lock it in.
I mean,
It's gonna happen.
I mean, PS3 versus 360 price discrepancy like really bit Sony hard.
Yeah.
So I think both are gonna try to avoid that. You know?
Sure. Steve Fiore says, "Hey Ben and gang, happy 2020!
Hey.
Now that Sony has reiterated some spec stuff and shown the logo at CES, it seems like a PS5 reveal is very close." What do you guys think of that logo, by the way?
Underwhelming.
Does
Internet
that even
was like-
count as a logo?
I don't think so. I was so excited because in my fantasy, I thought that like the graphic designer Corey Schmitz, who did
right,
the
yeah.
Controls logo, and he's done a lot of work with Sony, like the Insomniac logo, Sucker Punch logo, Ghost of Tsushima logo, stuff like that. Days Gone, I was like, I bet he's gonna get a chance to like try and design the PS5 logo. That was my dream. And
Yeah.
then they reveal it, it's just okay, it's the PS4 logo again. It's just such a bummer.
It was
Yeah.
like, what would a 5 look like? Okay, put that on there instead. You
Yeah.
did it.
It's
Huge cigar, inhale.
the sort of the jumps between console generations now are so small that like it's not this big celebratory change. You know what I mean? Which is like a bummer. Like it was always.
And if they're not
fun.
happening in the hardware, they should change it for the marketing, right?
Yeah. But
Anyways.
the funny thing that I saw was people taking the PS2 logo and sort of photoshopping it to be PS5, which I thought was just funny. You know?
PS2 or PS3?
2.
Okay, because a
Just
lot of people doing
flipping
that with
the
the
2, you
3
mean?
of like the Spider-Man font with
Yeah,
PlayStation
no, I
5.
because the 2 you can just rotate,
Oh,
right?
of
So
course.
like it was
Oh,
a
of
quick
course.
Photoshop and it was,
But Steve says, what is your absolute dream launch title for the PlayStation 5?
for the PlayStation 5.
Dream.
Dream.
I mean, you could say like Ueda's next game or something. Obviously, that'd be amazing. But
Yeah.
honestly, I would love a Twisted Metal Battle Royale
Yeah.
without Jaffe involved.
I mean, I think in terms of the
Good qualifier.
with the first party Sony things, I think the franchise that I'm most excited to see continue is God of War, even
Yeah.
more than Last of Us and Horizon. So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I'd have to go God of War 2.
Okay.
You know,
At launch, God, that'd be wild. Wouldn't it? There's
I
no
don't
universe
think so.
unless
but
it's
dreams. If we can dream, you know.
yeah, unless they do basically the Lost Legacy style thing, where it's like okay, same world, we're just kind of remixing some things, kind of a 0.5
Shorter
entry,
version.
you know.
I'd take one of those.
Hey, I'd take one.
Rather
of those.
have 2, but
Hey, there we go.
whatever.
Jeffem, Dream.
I mean,
Dreams too.
it's hard because so many. We know that they're working on these games. I guess Horizon.
Really?
If it had had been built from the ground up for next gen
Which I
technology,
think it has, yeah.
and if they're using that in an interesting way,
Yeah.
But I'm worried that a lot of those games are just going to be like, well, okay, we can make the open world even bigger, or we can make it a little prettier. Like,
More
can you
detail in the
use the
grass.
technology in a way that makes gameplay more interesting? Is what I'm hoping we see.
Yeah.
But
Holden Hints has a real humdinger of a question here. He says, "Hey, friend of the show, Holden Hints here.
Hi.
There is a certain quality of entertainment I call molden for Holden, which is something
Okay.
I believe to be hand sculpted to my interests. In the world of video games, this will usually include."
Okay, I think I see where he's going. Yeah.
So this is his thing. When,
Okay.
when we're talking molden for Holden, his number one entry is jungle levels.
okay,
Holden loves a good jungle level. Who
Okay.
doesn't love a jungle level?
Yeah.
They're all great.
I'm fine.
Plenty of character customization options and useful AI companions that accompany you.
Yeah.
Therefore, what would be the requirements for the cruise versions of qualities that are specifically up their alley?
Gosh. Yeah, I like this question actually because this is kind of like with Jeff Cork, big little guy in a big world, where we're always like, oh, that's such a Cork thing. Cork loves that. You know,
Right.
it's like, so what are those things for
a Leo
us?
ass Leo game. Kind
yeah,
of thing. Yeah. I would say farming stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Crafting stuff. I mean, Dragon Quest Builders was basically
Was
like
it?
my kind of game.
Molden for
yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Mark Charette.
I like weird procedurally generated stuff when it doesn't just feel randomly generated.
Sure.
and that kind of stuff. No Man's Sky was another Jeff game.
Yeah. For me, it's the Paper Mario Spectrum.
Yeah.
You know.
I like when it comes to like 2D platformers, I want a 2D map that builds out
Mm.
as I explore. I also really like games that let you upgrade your movement abilities. If I can jump higher and run faster and like add a third jump or double jump, like that's something that I'm always like, yes, give me
There
those
we go.
upgrades. you
That's
know?
good.
All right, Hans.
Wait, we should say that Surreals is pervert anime stuff.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
whatever.
like box art where it's just like legs akimbo,
Yes.
panties ready to go. Yeah, Hans. Yeah, that's why he wasn't allowed on the Great Goaty Hunt. We were checking out those Steam games because he just kept insisting on downloading all those gross
It
ones.
was like thousands before we caught him and deleted him.
get out of here.
It was filling up the hard drive on the new computer.
And we say he's sick, but he just had one of those anime nosebleeds because he saw anime
Yes.
boobies.
He
Yeah,
passed out.
yeah.
He's sick, all right.
Hans Kleinenberg says, hiya. Hello. So now that all the stardust has settled after The Mandalorian, Fallen Order, and Rise of Skywalker, what would you say is your least favorite thing about Star Wars? Mine would have to be the Force. What started with a sixth sense sort of thing, which could also move stuff with your mind, ended up being something that could be whatever the director-screener wanted it to be. And then he lists some spoilers and stuff. That's 100% my biggest gripe with Star Wars is just the Dragon Ball Z-esque just escalation of force powers to the point now where it's like, I don't feel anything. I want to feel the struggle of Luke moving a rock. Like, that is my level of force. And anything above that, it's like, I don't feel anything anymore. I want to see some struggle. And that's my biggest frustration with the new trilogy is just like, yeah, there's a tiny bit of that with Rey, but not nearly enough.
Yeah, this is kind of a tough question.
That's a dumb thing to not like.
Really?
Yeah.
The escalation of the Force?
Yeah, I guess that did not bother me. Like, they used it in new and interesting ways. I guess I didn't feel like it was just like a thing to fill plot holes.
Oh, I think some people do think that.
I
but-
understand that they do.
Yeah.
And I'm not faulting them for having opinions that are different than mine.
But don't you think like the sweet spot is like going from 0 to, oh, maybe there's a little something I can do here. Like when you see Yoda really, it feels like pushing himself to raise the X-Wing out of the swamp. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry, Hanson, you're not a kid anymore, okay? We can't go back and have like
not
the
saying
same
that. I just
magical
want them to
thing.
be a little more conservative with what the Force can do. And I know you got hacks like Stig Asmussen over there in the Jedi Fallen Order team being like, let us rip a moon in half, whatever happens in that game. I don't think that happens.
Yeah, that does not happen in that game.
I'm just saying, like, when like so many people are asking Lucas, like, let's up it, let's up it, let's up it. We have
Yeah.
a story to tell. I think that's a tough, slippery slope.
Fine.
Oh, does anybody else
Fine.
have any gripes with Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I got kind of frustrated over the long term of the new trilogy of like familial sort of relationships and like
Making the universe smaller.
Yeah. Like there's that joke that's going around on Twitter. Well, you know, it's a spoiler, so I won't share it. But like, just like, I think I liked that it was like new people coming in without any sort of connection. Like,
Yes.
So by the end of the most recent one, I was kind of frustrated. That's like, okay, let's like grow out the sort of the people who can be involved in this conflict.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I still
Well-
like Star Wars.
Yeah. Mine is I'd never want to see another fucking cantina.
Why do they think that's so fun? Is it just because everyone's so nostalgic over New
Yeah,
Hope?
and that's like that's the thing that the larger issue of just like that nostalgia. Like we have to give the nudge and the wink to everyone to remind them that this is Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
we get it at this point. You
Yeah.
don't need like you can't keep doing that in every damn movie that comes out.
There's like 4 different cantinas in Mandalorian.
yes,
We'll talk about it on a Max Spoilers, I'd imagine,
we
how many
absolutely
cantinas
will.
there
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
but just like continue telling original new stories. Show me new stuff that I haven't seen. I like
Right.
all the new different alien designs and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And there's some lore stuff in Rise of Skywalker that I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing that I've never thought about. And
C-3PO lore?
no,
Okay. Trying
No.
to keep it cryptic. Huh. All
Yeah.
right.
But just that kind of stuff. Get away from reusing stuff and just enough with the cantinas. We understand that. Aliens like to go to drinking holes, and there's goofy music there. And
I mean, that comes from the sort of the Western roots of Star Wars, right? Of like you have to go to the saloon, like at that, right?
Yeah.
And like there has to be a dangerous place, where you
Right.
can
And I think,
sort of
but it also just comes
congregate.
from Everybody Loves New Hope is very influential for like the age
Yeah.
of people that are making
the
Star
camera
Wars
cutting
content
around
now.
to different aliens is like gotta have.
Yeah,
that,
and it's like,
right?
oh, if you
Yeah,
get to make a
yeah,
Star Wars story, I would personally be excited about a cantina, but I have to be like, okay, hold myself back. We
Yeah.
can come up
Yeah.
with other ideas here.
Yeah, my hope is that like they just really Star Wars dives into like genres. You know what I mean? Like let's get a Star Wars comedy, like a Star Wars like.
Star Wars Detours from Seth Green. Bring it back.
Not quite what I meant, but okay.
Speaking of Star Wars, we have Geo Bagany He says, one of my childhood gaming dreams was to be able to play Kingdom Hearts with the graphics of the pre-animated cutscenes. Now I think that dream can become a reality. Graphics are insane nowadays, and especially after seeing the buttery transition in Marvel's Spider-Man, it gets me very excited to see more seamless transitions from cutscenes to gameplay. Have any crazy dreams come true for you guys already, or are you still waiting for technology to make another great leap for gaming?
So like tech that we wanted to see in
Yeah.
games in the future that eventually came to exist.
Yeah, I think the biggest in my lifetime, because I wasn't looking closely enough when Mario 64 came out, I was a pretty passive gamer in that era. But like GTA 3 was the one that completely shattered my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became that, well, I remember specifically on the Saints Row the Third cover story trip with Game Informer, we were talking to one of the tech leads there, and he's going to give us a tour of Steelport. Is that the Saints Row town? I think it is. And he was talking about it, and it was so sweet. He's like, yeah, because I remember when I was young and playing games, I remember just thinking, like, what if you could just walk around an entire city? And then he's like, and then we got that with GTA 3, and then I remember thinking, what if it's like a whole city, but you could like go indoors? Because that was the huge, weird limitation with GTA 3.
Yeah.
He was like, well, you can't fly the dodo too well, and you can't go indoors, right? And that's why he was so excited about working on Saints Row 3. He's like, look at all these interiors you can go into, you know? So like, I feel like I've seen that satisfying epiphany in the industry already.
That was mine too, and I remember, I think it was an old EGM issue where it was when they were first talking about Grand Theft Auto 3, and they had like one screenshot of, you know, the main nameless character like running away from police, and I remember looking at that picture and it just blowing my mind of like, oh my God, they're gonna take Grand Theft Auto, but it's gonna be a 3D world I can run around. And they more or less really delivered on that promise.
Oh,
and
yeah. God, that was mind-blowing.
That's been the biggest one for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Pokemon Go
But
is
yes,
up there for me.
now at this point, I want to see that big city, but every building has an interior.
Okay. A very rich interior.
Yes.
I mean, that's, the big city thing, but like, I mean, Red Dead 2 is pretty damn close.
which is the way that you do it, in that you have smaller towns, you know,
Right.
instead of a New York.
Right.
You have smaller Western towns.
Thomas Hoster. I think he's a new supporter. I saw him in MinnMax this week.
Hey,
Thank
Thomas.
you, Thomas. He says, hey, MinnMax, I know, Ben, you have mentioned following the Easy Allies podcast yet religiously, but did you see the recent show where Kyle talked with his parents about video games as he grew up? I don't know if you guys listened to this one.
Started it, yeah.
It's one of those where it started and I was like, oh, this is a different one. It's funky, but okay, I think I get it. But then listening to it, it's like, I don't think my imagination has been lit up as much by a gaming podcast in the last year as that Easy Allies episode, because it's just so heartfelt, and it just made me think like so much about like, oh, is he trying to like goad his parents into saying something like accidentally jokey about the industry? How sincere is it? It's just like my mind was racing that entire episode. I loved it.
Did we explain what the episode? I mean, it's basically
No.
just him talking to his
Yeah, it's him talking to his parents
about
yeah.
him growing up with video games, right?
This is Kyle,
which is interesting. Yeah.
Kyle Bossman. But anyways, Thomas says, so MinnMax, what opinions did your parents have about your video game playing as a young kid? Didn't care for it.
Yeah, they were confused by it and violently uninterested in what was happening.
But you had like an older brother to kind of take that blow, right?
Yeah,
Because he
like-
probably got into that stuff before.
No, me and my brother got into it at the same time. Like our first console was a Super Nintendo that we both received, and then my sister was into video games. But in terms of what my parents were sort of looking at, like they were completely uninterested. I remember my mom watched me play GoldenEye once and was just flabbergasted and was just
Yeah.
like, all you're doing is shooting people. Like it just was like, this is awful.
I'm going to wash your eyes with soap.
I know, yeah. So not interested.
Yeah. My parents had a Bally Astrocade, which was our first system. It was a weird
What is
Atari
that?
knockoff. And
What?
it was interesting in that the controllers were basically pistol grips, and it had a trigger on it, but then at the top was a joystick that also twisted, which some games would use in
weird.
weird ways. But basically, it was a crappy system, and the games were overpriced. And I think they got it when they were younger, and that gave them the impression that video games were a waste of time and a waste of money. And so
Right.
growing up, one of the most traumatizing memories I have is one Christmas, my grandma called and was talking to my mom, and I heard the conversation from my mom's end saying, no, we don't want them to have a Nintendo, so you shouldn't buy them one, the original Nintendo, which scarred me for life. And then they let us get a Super Nintendo, and then when the N64 came out, I saved up my money and I talked my mom into taking me to Mall of America to buy it because it was sold out everywhere.
Place for fun.
We got it. They had it. She didn't let me buy it, and she said, "I didn't think we'd find it, but I don't want you to buy it." And so, I eventually wore her down and got it, and they became cooler with it over the years. But yeah, they were very much. They didn't want us to play too much. We could occasionally rent a system from Mr. Movies with a couple games and play it, for a weekend or whatever. But they very much tried to limit our game time as kids.
Yeah. I mean, growing up in the forest, like I felt like I spent a lot of time outdoors as a kid, but I think it was still that thing of my parents being like, "Go outside, Mark, go outside." We're like, I feel like I am compared to how fun these video games are. I feel like I'm very generous with how much I'm going outside here, everybody. But yeah, because I basically just played Apple II. Like it wasn't an obsession until like the PlayStation rolled around, and then it was just, what are you guys doing down there so much? And every time I'd go over to watch my friends play JRPGs and stuff for days at a time, sometimes in the summer, I think, my mom just thought we were over there doing drugs and stuff. It's like, no, I just really wanted to watch my friend play through that part in Chrono Cross. Yeah, it's better than drugs. It's Chrono Cross, baby. By the way, I looked up a picture of the Bally Astrocade. That is dumb.
It is super dumb. One of the games was just a calculator. Oh, and the system, I don't know if it shows the picture, but the system had like a number pad built into it so that you could type in your numbers, because I guess it was kind of a cross between video games and like first home computers.
We don't know.
So you could do math on your TV screen by pressing the number buttons on the console. It was just a real mess of technology.
Those like Switch games now that you see every now and then in the store that are like clock. And it's just like a clock that someone's selling for Switch for 99 cents.
That's actually the game of the year 2020.
Oh, clock.
Yeah, so far. It's very exciting. Levi writes in and says, "Hey guys, I got some MinnMax merch over the Christmas break.
Congrats.
Thank you. Check it out on the official site, minnmax.com. 2 N's. Yesterday, my first day back at work, he's a third grade teacher.
Oh.
I wore a hoodie to school. Heck yeah. I had so many people ask what MinnMax was and found myself trying to explain Patreon and what this was. Interesting to me was that for the most part, when I explained it to my third graders, they could understand the model of a Patreon, probably due to Twitch and YouTube. I would say, though, that out of the 14-ish adults that asked me about it, none knew what a Patreon was, and few even could understand MinnMax, and walked away super confused.
All right.
Thanks for annoying everybody for us.
Yeah.
How often did you guys explain MinnMax to family over the break? Did you have trouble explaining the Patreon?
No.
I pretty much just skipped that part of the conversation and just said, "Yeah, we're making our own business and it's going fine. It's going well.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we're making it, and it's weird." When we were at Game Informer, it was very easy to just say, "I'm an editor," and people understand that.
It's a magazine.
I work for a magazine.
Yep.
Yes, that's much easier. It's weird now to say we make videos. People don't understand that. I don't even bother to say we make podcasts because adults aren't going to know what those are.
I've tried to keep it the same when people ask, and it's like, "I'm a video producer," and then if they ask more, then it's like, "Well,
okay, you've opened a floodgate here."
Yeah, it's like, "I'm a video producer, but I make videos in my basement." But it's crowdfunded, and I like multiple people have been like, "Oh, like I'm sorry," type of thing. And it's like, "No, but it's going well," and like you feel weird being like, "Oh no, we have like almost 2,000 supporters.
You can go
and
look,
people are very generous and stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a weird defensive position, and so I had a weird thing where over Christmas, my parents' neighbors, I guess, wanted to meet a lot of us, so we all trekked over there, and then the guy was asking me about what I did and stuff. And then my dad's very nice. He's like, "Oh no, he's trying to explain me, and he's like, "Oh, he started the thing, MinnMax. It was in the newspaper, MinnMax." Like the guy knows what the word MinnMax is. And then literally the neighbor, who's like this 65-year-old guy, he's like, Oh, you're the one that does stuff with computers.
The computer
loving
That was where that newspaper article was released. It's like, yes, I'm the computer guy. And then he's like,
that's so funny.
Boy, I'm having a tough time with syncing my iPad. I'm like,
Perfect.
I don't know, man. I don't understand iCloud
send us some money
either.
on Patreon. I'll come over. I'll do some IT for you.
Travis Manick says, if you categorize all games alphabetically, which letter has the best collection of games?
S.
It's S by a mile, right? That's done.
Just because it's super.
You have so many supers. You have
Super Metroid,
Sunset.
Super Mario World.
Well, outside of that, though, what other S's? What other S juggernauts? Strider. Sunset Riders,
Gosh.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2.
Sekiro.
Good couple
These are
last
good,
years for
actually.
S's.
Yeah.
Sinside.
Slimbo.
Hang on, I'm not googling. Let's really try and come up with this.
Okay, so we got a bunch of S's and the supers, right? I mean,
Yeah. There's
Serious Sam. That's 2.
Yep.
So
That's a double whammy.
yep. In categories, that would get you twice the number of points.
Outside of Super, what is the best S game? Is the question for the community.
Sekiro right now.
Of all time, the best
All
S
time?
game?
That's not super?
That's not Super.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, 'cause
Splatoon?
Splatoon 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is surprisingly hard.
Why is
It
this? All right,
is.
I'm cheating now. Video game. I give up. Okay, anyways, best S game that's not Super. Let us know. Jim Boy Me Bob says, now Ben Hansen,
Oh.
back when True Detective Season 1 first came out, I accidentally watched the last episode first.
Oh no.
Then went to the first episode. I was incredibly confused because I thought the whole series was a prequel until I got to the last episode and realized I was a moron. I think this is a reference to the Knives Out thing, but
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, sure.
But I think that'd be a fun way to look at that show, especially like the way Season 1
It would
ends
still
for
hold
True
up, I
Detective.
think, you
Oh,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Guy Incognito says, I saw cats.
Oh,
It is
no.
a fresh hell for the senses, but I smiled ear to ear from start to finish.
Yeah, I still want to see it.
What's the worst piece of media you got immense pleasure out of in 2019?
In 2019.
Right. I think of, like I said, I'm obsessed with Kevin Smith. I don't understand it. Don't ask me too much about it, but truly obsessed to the point that, and Ben Reeves is basically along this journey with me. So at some point in 2019, Ben Reeves came over and we watched Jason Mewes' directorial debut called Madness in the Method. So this is like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, So he directed a movie and it like has cameos from Stan Lee. It is technically Stan Lee's last appearance on film.
no.
It is unbearable and confusing and bad, but I'm glad that I watched it just because it is like to have a movie that is so directly referencing so much of Kevin Smith's work. I would feel incomplete if I hadn't seen it. Like Dante's a big part of it from Clerks and stuff. It is, and he plays like a horny producer. It truly sucks.
Okay.
and it's confusing. It's one of those movies that's so bad it's confusing.
I mean, a couple of years ago, I just sort of decided that because there's that inclination to hate watch things, you know, like there was the Death Note live action adaptation on Netflix, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's so bad, you gotta watch it." And it was around that time that I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hate watch things. I don't want to watch things that are actively bad for the sake of, you know what I mean? Like if I'm going to spend 2 hours watching something, I should watch a classic film that I missed. I should watch 2001
but you
Space
should,
Odyssey.
yeah.
But it's like,
Have you never seen 2001?
no, I've never seen 2001.
Wow.
See? Like I should watch that instead of Jason Mewes'
Madness in the Method?
directorial debut. But I don't know. So like I was super into that sort of entertainment in like high school. Like going to the B movie section at my local like, you know, Hollywood Video was like my mom and pop rental shop, and like we'd watch it as friends. But like in the last couple of years, I'm not really interested in watching things just because they're bad.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I don't have a great answer.
That's a terrible answer.
Thanks for taking our time.
Yeah. Whenever my wife falls asleep on the couch, I'll get to watch whatever I want on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's usually when I watch the comedies that are too stupid for her. And I guess it's not a great answer, but that murder mystery Adam Sandler
The
one.
most viewed film from
I've heard
2019.
that's actually pretty fun and solid.
It was goodish.
Really?
I was entertained by it.
Yeah.
It was exactly what I was expecting it to be. It's stupid. I mean, it's not the worst Adam Sandler movie.
Can I tell you the review I heard of it from Blank Check's David Sims?
Please do.
Is that maybe you know what I'm talking about too? It was the movie that he said that he could watch while looking at his phone for the full duration of the movie and not miss anything. Like that. That's how he described it. Like it was.
Interesting.
I guess it's just all dialogue, right, and just pretty simple shots, and not like a lot of action sequences. So it's
Right.
like so he just looked at his phone and had it on the background and was totally clear on everything that was happening in that film and was not confused in any way.
It was fine. You know, there's. I got enough chuckles out of it.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of level of like, oh, everything's gonna hate. Who's the guy? Paul Blart. You know,
Yeah,
like
Kevin
those
James.
kind of movies where it's like, yeah, you know, like it's going to be kind of sappy. It's going to be dumb, but
You will
it's funny
probably laugh
enough.
2 to 3 times.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
for
I'm
sure.
not going to hate it, you
Yeah.
know?
And I will absolutely defend. It's the movie called The Week of on Netflix. Like Robert Smigel directed it.
Oh, it's Chris Rock right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's Chris Rock and Adam Sandler. Like I watched it expecting it to be a train wreck, and I was like,
Oh, is
I
that the
actually
wedding
will
one?
defend this movie. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Adam Sandler's come back around, right? I mean, thanks to Uncut Gems in a lot of ways, but I think a lot of people are certainly like him being on Netflix. I think is perfect for that
Yeah,
style of film
for sure.
And I think as a result, people are like, oh wait, Adam Sandler's a talented comedian who is funny.
Just don't watch the Silly Six, the Serious Six, whatever, whatever that was.
ridiculous.
There's
It's
that
horrific.
split of the movies that he makes where it's like the dumb old Adam Sandler style
Mm-hmm.
comedies, and then there's other stuff like that. And there was another one that he made where it was all just a dysfunctional family.
I think that's the week of, right?
No,
No, okay, never mind.
I don't know.
there was another.
Are you thinking of Jack and Jill,
No,
the ultimate dysfunctional family?
I can't. Yeah, I can't remember what the other one was.
8
but-
Crazy Nights. Anyways,
Yes.
the Smack writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff Marchiafava, if you had to describe one of your favorite games to someone using only mouth noises, how would you do it?"
Okay.
I guess it could just be Untitled Goose Game, and I would just honk at him, right?
Wait, I think he's trying to cue you to.
Honk,
do-
honk.
No, but do it for something we don't know the answer to. Mouth noises.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the game you haven't finished?
Yep.
Cool. Great.
It's pretty impressive that I knew exactly what he was talking about.
I can't believe you didn't finish Red Dead 2 over
I
the break.
know. I have a problem.
You suck. Be Done 912 says, "Hey, congratulations. You win.
Oh.
You win an all expenses paid 3-week trip to anywhere in the world, and you leave tomorrow. Where do you go?"
Well, that sounds stressful, first of all. But
Probably Jeffem's house, just so I can finally see it.
never getting in.
Gonna crash a plane into it.
That's weird. That's dark.
I would go to Fiji, being a huge Survivor fan, and I would stay at Ponderosa Resort. That is my dream.
live the
I've literally
Survivor
looked
dream.
up, like, because I have a decent amount of frequent flyer miles from Game Informer and stuff, which is very sweet.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what can I do with that? And then I was like, could I make it all the way to Fiji? I think I did the math. I think I could.
Oh yeah.
I could get to Fiji and back. And it's like, that'd be an interesting trip. Just
There you
like
go.
try and invade the island of the idols, tear down Sandra's big head. Survivor fans know what I'm talking about.
I assume they do. Yeah, I've been to Japan twice for work. I'd like to go for pleasure. So that's probably what I would pick.
Really?
Go check out the Ghibli
Just
Museum.
love hotels and stuff.
Yeah, totally. See, that didn't really absorb that Nintendo history.
I'd probably go to Italy.
Have you been?
Just a tour of Italy. No, and not the lame Olive Garden version. An actual tour of Italy.
Wow, okay. There it is. Let's see. Andrew Bakar. I'm sorry. Bakar. I'm too in Star Wars world. Andrew Baker says,
Oh,
Hey, Min-Maxers. With the announcement of Dan Reichert leaving Giant Bomb in the game industry, what is your favorite memory of knowing/working with Dan Reichert? Personally, for me, it was the Super Replay of Ninja Gaiden, where he was trolling Jeffem. It literally had me dying from laughter, and I'm surprised Jeff didn't punch him on air.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was rough.
that's up there. Yeah, if you didn't catch it, we had a video on our YouTube channel where it's me talking to Dan Reichert for about an hour just about him leaving the games press and kind of reflecting on his life up until this point. He tries to insist that he has no need for attention anymore, that he's an enlightened being, and I'm trying to poke holes in it. But he's at the WWE. It's going well so far, so we're all happy for him.
Yeah, no, that's perfect for him.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much from like personal life with Dan too that it's tough to figure out like what is the best moment. It's just like dumb, silly stuff that really makes us laugh. Like I remember one time we're like out at my lake place and we're playing that game that we played on air where you count down and then try and name two things and then count down again and name the thing that's directly between those and try to get to the same thing. And there was some absurd moment where it was like we had started it and we're two wildly different words. It was something like family and table. Like it was literally like that abstract is the way I remember it. And then the next clue, we arrived on the same word, which was Nutty Professor 2, the clumps. Like it was just like the furthest leap, and we both arrived directly
that's
on
hilarious.
the clumps, and I was
Wow.
very delighted by that. So that's probably number one Dan Reichert moment. Yeah,
we
it's
can
pretty.
all identify with that one.
I've shared it before. I think I even shared it
recently on Twitter where we were at E3 at this party at an event or something, and we were
and
nearby.
he peed in the bush.
He peed in the bush. No, that was before my time, but I have heard that story before. And he just kind of suddenly turned to me and was like, "Hey, this guy's a huge fan of Fez." And the guy walked up to me and was like, "Oh man, it's great to meet you. I love Fez." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a great game. I really love Fez too." In my mind, I was like, I don't know why Dan was so adamant that like we connect, and be Fez fans, me and this stranger. And then like we were talking a little bit, and then it was sort of revealed between us and Dan that Dan had told that person that I was Phil Fish and just introduced me as Phil Fish to this person without telling me. And that was very strange. And it's just like
That's a Dan thing to do.
It's such like a perfect, like very quick, smart, and like honestly smart Dan prank that's like totally worked because I happen to have a passing resemblance to Phil Fish.
Yeah, for sure. Rest in peace, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know what time it is?
Get a load of this.
Get a load of this.
Oh my goodness. Get a load of this.
Yes, sir.
It's a picture, so audio listeners are out of luck. But it's a picture. You can add it to the video when we're done. It was a delicious-looking breakfast that I saw
Oh, yes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
on a news feed somewhere, and I looked at it and I was like, that does look delicious, but I'm sure it's terrible for you. And I guess I've been Googling enough, like, different diet, news stories or whatever. Like, when they show up in my feed, I'll click on them, and then so Google thinks I'm obsessed with that. So I assumed it was some kind of, like, keto diet, something or other. No, it turns out it was fake. It was from a video game, and even more amazingly, it was from Dreams.
The second best game of 2019?
Yep. Someone made number one, actually, for me.
see.
Yes. But someone made not someone.
John Beach.
John Beach, yes, who was the
He's a designer.
designer.
Yeah.
Yes, game designer. Senior principal designer.
Point is, go look at this breakfast because it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
He made a photorealistic, which is the other thing that people always talk about Dreams. It's like, oh, well, they all kind of look fuzzy, and there's this dream, like a quality that all
filter
Dreams
kind
things
of.
have.
No fuzz on them beans, boy.
No, it was photorealistic. So then I took just the picture and I showed it to my wife. I said, "What do you think of this? What does this look like?" And she said, "It looks like heartburn." But she didn't realize that it was.
And she tried licking your phone?
Yes, and then it got very weird.
Beautiful.
So go get a load of it, and so then I booted up Dreams and actually looked at it it's just as impressive. It's not a trickery of just looking at a small picture on your phone. It is just that photorealistic.
Look around the 3D model and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Oh, wow.
Very cool. Kyle.
So this was one. Get a load of this, you guys. This is one I actually had planned to bring up when Plants vs. Zombies came out.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of forgot about it. But then I realized this would be a great.
Well, there's so much other stuff to talk about with that release.
Yeah, right. But I thought this would be a good thing to talk about with Get a Load of This. It's a little bit long, but I'll try to go fast. I wanted to play split screen co-op with the kid, and she was excited to do it. So I'm going to give you everything I had to go through to play split screen co-op.
Don't make us share in your agony.
It blows my mind how complicated this was. So first I Google it to see if it's available. It is Xbox and PS4, but not on PC. Then I had to, let's see. Okay. So I tried to sign into a guest account, which I couldn't do, so I had to make an account. So I made an account for the kid, and she's underage, so I have to make her a kid account under the parent umbrella. And then to prove I'm an adult, they had to charge me 50 cents. So that's like the first step to make my kid an account.
Can't you just make like ambiguous user 1 or whatever?
No, you couldn't. It had to be like an online connected account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. So then and then this was on me, but I had like expired debit cards all over my PlayStation account. So that was super complicated. And then it was like I had to get on a browser to remove old cards to add new cards so that they could send me 50 cents or they could charge me 50 cents to prove that this account is real. Okay, so then after all that, I sign into this new account that I made her, and we have to set up her screen name, which doesn't take too long, but I have to make her a PlayStation account, Let's see, and then we get the screen name. It's available. The only hurdle I have to log into her email to confirm her email address.
Your daughter has an email?
I have to make an email address for her, and then make a PlayStation account so that we can play split screen Plants vs. Zombies. Okay, so then I've set all that up. It's time to play. We hold down the square button on the second controller, and it says the account doesn't have the necessary permissions. So I log into her account on my phone, and it still won't let her log in. I'm trying to change permissions. I close the game. I go into the parental controls on the system, open up her account there, and then it works. I say she's allowed to play whatever I want. So then we hold down square again, and it seems to be working. It lets her sign in, but then I have to create a separate EA account for her. So then I have to go and make an EA account for her, which means like making a separate screen name, separate password, all this stuff. And then so after making all these accounts, getting charged 50 cents to prove I'm a grown-up with a kid who has a PlayStation account, we finally are allowed to play split screen. So it took
beautiful.
all that just to play
Yeah, that's so
what
frustrating.
became 20 minutes of Plants vs. Zombies with my kid. So get a
I'm
load of that,
sorry.
you guys.
I'm sorry to go through this.
It's too complicated.
Hey, get a load
Fix
of
it.
this. You guys remember a little fella by the name what? Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah.
So this crazy fella, I didn't know this. So Northwest Territory at that time, it was basically like Minnesota, Ohio, that entire spread, right? That was what was called the Northwest Territory. Thomas Jefferson apparently mapped out how that should be divided for 10 states, and he gave all those states names. So get a load of this. He would have called Minnesota, roughly the area that Minnesota's in, Sylvania.
Sylvania?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't
It's
that
a-
like a...
Like Transylvania?
I think so. So he combined a bunch
It's
of
like an animation
native words
company.
with Latin. Yeah. I saw it and I was like, oh, that's not a bad name for a Patreon based in Minnesota. And I looked it up. Okay, people have taken Sylvania. It's like some sort of evil chemical corporation or something.
Great.
His other names for the other states, Michigania, so pretty close.
Okay.
For Michigan, right?
Yep.
Obviously.
Cheronesus, Assassinippus,
Ooh, okay.
Metropotamia, which is a very good sci-fi town name. Please, somebody make Metropotamia.
Metropotamia.
Do you know what state that was supposed to be?
I forget.
Roughly? Okay.
Illinois, Saratoga, Washington, which was what he wanted to call the Ohio area. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Polypotamia and Pelipsia. Thomas Jefferson, one of the greatest writers in American history.
I
This
like
is what he comes up with.
Ass and nipple the best.
Yeah, sass and nipple.
Ass and nipple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
where I wanna
Thomas
live.
Jefferson was SS and nipple-lated. I don't know. That's fine. It's a long show here,
It's
everybody.
interesting.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
did
Thanks
it.
for tuning in to this episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. This is fun. 2020, if you want very specific plans of where we're going with MinnMax and stuff, that's really what MinnFax is for. If you're a $5 supporter, you can listen to the audio version of that. We release that every Tuesday morning, like we mentioned at the top of the show, so check that out. Otherwise, just check out the Patreon, see if any tiers float your boat. That Discord remains amazing, and if you support us at any level, you get access to the Discord. It's a fun chat constantly going on in there. But as for the future, logos in the works, a lot of other fun things are in the works. Hopefully with the logo, we can have a little bit of a mini relaunch, I think, in a way that'll please fans. New merch around that time as well. So a lot of fun stuff in the future for MinnMax, but thank you so much for
So
sticking
get in
with
on
us.
that old merch now, you're saying, right?
I'm going to leave the old merch up there because I like
Oh, okay,
having
cool.
just like the classic design of like the old
Yeah,
school
yeah,
shirts
totally.
and stuff. But thanks again for everybody for sticking with us throughout the holiday break and into 2020. We really appreciate it. And until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.
See
Get
ya.
better, cereal.